Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
First edition of Patriots Unfiltered from our new studio. A little bit more of a relaxed look.
I think so.
You know, that includes Matisse.
Trying to imagine Paul getting mad on the couch. I just can't see it. I need him to bang a table. So
Maybe we'll just give him a piece of plywood. So, like, he can just be uncomfortable. Not to just harp on the Jets, but you can definitely see that whole situation going south over there.
Easily.
You know? with that nut at quarterback.
I haven't been that excited for a practice in a while.
Are you legally allowed within 50 yards of A.J. Brown, or is that you still have to maintain
Is there a possibility that in our field house you could have some type of machine that could mimic weather conditions, and I mean extreme?
I don't know. It's one of those things like playing in the cold. You can either do it or you can't. Like, I don't know if you can really get ready.
I have to admit. Remember, I broke every finger in one hand on a cold day.
God.
Well,
I can see why you don't like it.
Yeah,
then.
I hated it. I think it's a lot better than it used to be. Like, back when I played, we were barely out of leather helmets.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at Gillette Stadium, and it's our day 2 coming from our new studio. Not exactly the way it's going to look next week. Tomorrow we're bringing in the permanent furniture and making some tweaks and swapping some things out. But you're getting a sense of what PU is going to look like going forward. So very excited about it. And Alex is with us.
Yes.
For what reason are we graced by your presence?
New studio. I haven't seen
What
it
accomplishment did you have that you want to be on the show to talk about?
None. I had a pretty
I'm
low-key
only
week.
kidding. Yeah,
Had a pretty low-key week.
Yeah, you were with Bryce Barringer.
I was.
Yeah.
Followed Bryce around at the Mass Amateur this week. Met the family. Oh, shout out. Mr. Barringer is a PU listener and a big Catch 22 fan. Big
Hi,
fan
Mr.
of
Barringer.
Alex Barth.
Yeah.
So we're going to get him a t-shirt and wanted to give him a nice shout out today. Nice. But yeah, great to be here. I feel like I'm in like Plato's man cave with like the stones on the wall and good stuff.
Matisse is here. Deuce is here. Matt's in the booth.
Yeah.
Jordan is back operating the cameras.
There you go. Shout out, Jordan.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not?
So what do we got? I have a couple things I want to talk about.
Well, I got some things today too,
but
Fred.
Obviously,
we don't have to get right into it, but I just to tease it. We got the it's not Football Outsiders anymore, but the new DVOA Patriots thing. So I took some nuggets for conversation. So as we get in there, that's some good stuff.
That's
some
hardcore. So we'll wait on that because if we start with that, we'll never get out of that.
No, that's why I don't want to do it yet.
But I think when it comes to like Patriots stuff that's out there, it's this whole hard knocks with the Giants and Drake Maye.
Yeah.
I
love it.
We're getting a little shrapnel in a good way.
Yeah.
Because it shows probably that the Giants were interested in him. Why else would they, be talking to Elliott about the 3 spot? You knew Jaden Daniels was going to go too. So and then, his acumen was on display. So that was something that I think Patriots fans were like, yeah, see, we got the guy. We got the guy.
Yeah.
But then dovetailing from that is there was kind of a debate on at least my timeline about, do coaches and analysts make football too complicated? Like, is it really that complicated? Or is it that they put all this jargon around the mic and they make it complicated? So we talk about that.
Well, I mean, I guess just to kick off the show, which I had watched the first episode, watched the second episode yesterday, and I was just impressed with Drake Maye. I mean, you got a scouting report. You got to see behind the scenes with Caleb Williams, with Jaden Daniels, with Malik Neighbors, J.J. McCarthy. So you got a kind of a little cross-section, and just a little bit that you saw on Drake, it was, like you said, it was, a lot of recall, and Brian Dable was grilling those guys, and, they'd give him a whole play call, and then they talk to him about something else. They'd be like, what's that play call again? And see if they can spit it back out. I thought Drake handled himself really well. I don't really get like everyone drawing the comparisons. Yes, of course, like they might have been interested, but I think a lot of people were like, clearly they love Drake Maye and they wanted Drake Maye. But
maybe. But
I think they just wanted to know what the deal is. But
I think they just wanted a quarterback.
Yeah.
They did Caleb, they did Jaden. Like they just wanted a quarterback, and it just shows how much the Patriots liked him because they weren't going to get that pick.
They had a chance to take McCarthy. They didn't take him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No.
So if they wanted a quarterback, they wanted a quarterback, and it probably was Drake Maye.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, some interesting takeaways though of like when they were talking about the scouting report on Jaden Daniels of just like he's the leader, but he's not really vocal. You know, he's a quiet guy, which it kind of comes off as. But I like Dable. I mean, he's kind of got a Patriots background, so his intensity in those meetings. It's always interesting how
you're trying
those
to
guys.
see how a guy performs under pressure.
Yes.
How quickly he can process and think. Because that's what being a quarterback in the NFL is all about. Yeah. That's the big difference.
So the one that cracked me up, though, was I felt like Dable had the same reaction that I had to Malik Nabers. I don't know what show it was, but at some point I was like, I just watched this Malik Nabers guy made the joke. I didn't know how to say his name. But I'm like, this Nabers guy, and that was what Dable says in the thing. He's like, man, I just spent the whole day watching Malik Nabers. Like, that guy can play. And good interview with him. It's direct questions like, how do you feel if you don't get the ball in the first, half? And he's like, honestly, I'm not going to be happy about it. Like, we have a game plan. I want targets. And you could tell that obviously they were impressed with that. He was, not trying to be like, I'll just keep playing hard. He didn't give them what he thought they might want to hear.
I think no matter what he said, they would have said, okay, that's a good answer. They're not going to make him look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but, getting back to the complication, like, when they, Rita, Linda, like, what the hell does that mean? Turns out Rita's right, Linda's left.
Yeah.
So like once you learn what these things mean, it's like, that's not that complicated.
But it is learning another language. And like
that's the thing.
Yeah, it's just a lot of the same thing with different terminology,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
And that's what most of the guys come in when they're having their first like media interviews, and they're like, what's it been like learning the playlist? So often you hear, well, like it's a lot of the same offense, but it's called different stuff. So it's just like make some memory flashcards. And
I didn't watch the episode, like the full episode, but I saw the clips with Caleb Williams. Was he like, you have one play, you can only run one play all game,
like,
and it was like build your play. I was like, I like that part. I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, that's kind of like what a coach would say too. Spread, give me options.
Yeah.
If things break down, at least he can run.
Yeah, that was one of the questions into it. Draw up your favorite play. Just it can be anything. What's your favorite play? But those questions are always so interesting. I mean, just a quick aside. This guy moved into my town. His son plays baseball with my son. Turns out that this guy used to work with the Eagles. He worked with IMG Sports Academy down in Florida. Did a lot of work preparing players for the combine, specifically getting guys ready for the Wonderlic test. He's a doctor. He's working at BU now, but it's like, I'm just talking with this dad. He just came from working with the Dodgers and UCLA and LA, and all of a sudden I uncovered this whole thing where talk about like when we bring up random players from the last decade, like he's got all of them. All of them talking
what's he doing
about
now?
So he got out of the coaching aspect of it, and he's teaching at BU.
But is this a potential guest for the show?
It is so interesting to talk to him. I mean, just here's a quick story, which some Patriots fans will appreciate, and I'm sure you recall, Fred, that Carlos Dunlop. Remember him? And everybody was like, man,
lineman.
Why did we take Carlos Dunlop instead of Jermaine Cunningham? Like, we took Jermaine Cunningham. So the doc is telling me, he's like, he is an idiot. Like, he is just a rock.
Cunningham?
Like, no,
Dunlop.
Dunlop.
Okay.
The guy that everybody wanted and certainly had. But he was just like, just as an example of a guy that, they would work with to get ready for the Wonderlic test. And it was one of many players that I remember having arguments with people over various times. The Patriots should have drafted this guy, and then you hear him like he can barely tie his own shoes. Like, all he can do is go get the quarterback. And
both
that's
those guys
it.
were from Florida.
Yeah,
and I remember at the time, I thought even Urban Meyer was surprised that we took Jermaine Cunningham and that we didn't take Dunlop.
Well, and Jermaine Cunningham was according to him no scholar either.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you realize
I knew his brother. He worked at Best Buy.
How much goes on behind the scenes, like with those interviews at the combine. And these guys have so much going on, and it's easy to just look at a player when we're kind of amateur scoutish and, look, even if you look at his film, but you don't really realize, like, this guy's going to get here in that Belichick defense and his head is going to be spinning. So I'm sorry to take it kind of aside, but it's been fascinating because he loves to talk, and so every baseball practice is just like story time, but especially about the Wonderlic, where they talked about you don't want to do too well. Because if you do too well on the Wonderlic, you come off as somebody who's going to question everything. So you want to be smart enough.
God forbid we ask
smart
questions.
enough to process, but not
why.
too smart to question it all. So maybe I'll talk to him about coming in. What he's doing right now, though, is he's talking a lot about the disconnect between guys like him who do sport-specific training, injury rehab, things like that at a high level, with regular doctors who, you get amateur athletes who, like you get an injury, Alex, playing soccer, and you go to your doctor. Like, what do they know about soccer-specific rehab and how to get you back on track if you, suffered an injury? So his kind of passion now is getting more into the connection with doctors and athletic trainers and that kind of position. So interesting guy. I'm sure I'll get some good nuggets over the years. But he knows. I mean, he knows.
Sounds
everybody.
like if he's willing to talk, that, maybe without naming names, we could get some cool stories.
Oh, I can't
He could be like our injury correspondent.
Yeah,
or something.
right.
Break this down for us.
And he's been to. I mean, he's just got story. I mean, another quick aside. Very close with Antonio Brown too. And
still,
trying not to be because he's got a family. But just is very connected over the last 10 years, and it's just like we had Taylor Price, like he'll bring him up, like all those kind of random players. So it's been interesting, but a little bit of. I told him because he tells me how much he loves preparing athletes for the combine and getting guys ready and what a passion it was. And now you get to see behind the scenes of those questions and what really goes on when they get under the hood of all these high-ranking players.
Another cool part of the show with the combine was it shows how casual some of the combos are. Like they're in the Giants suite. I don't know GM Joe.
Yeah,
Shane,
yeah.
And he's like, I just gotta go talk to the Patriots real quick, and he just like walks over. He's like, "Oh, can I just like talk to you for a second?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's
What's
like
up? What's
that's
up?
all it takes." Like
Yeah.
you just like knock on the door. I felt like it'd be a bit more formal, but so you're like, if you're thinking of anything, like just be sure to text us. Like,
but isn't that kind of weird though? So like, you're Elliot Wolf, and all of a sudden the GM for the Giants come over, but there's cameras.
yeah. So
Right.
So like, what kind of conversation are you gonna
I
have?
think he's like,
Yeah.
like the players like, by the way, I'm mic'd up. Like just
Yeah.
so
Oh,
you
they
know.
do. They
But
tell each other.
It's also just funny because like it
Oh,
shows.
of course they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it shows the Patriots from like across the field, and it shows the Giants GM going in, and then like all the other Patriots coaches like, oh, here he goes, like trying to trying to make
That's
him
how it
over.
works. But again, like so much of that stuff, like it just relates to like when they're talking about Saquon and like the value of running backs now and finding out about Daniel Jones. It's just the same stuff we talk about here, but they're like the ones with the actual power and the money. And last night's episode, they had the cap number come out, and it's the same kind of thing. It's just funny. It's like it makes you realize we kind of cosplay what they do, but
Right.
like they're the ones who really have to make the decision.
Yeah,
But
we
like,
have the monopoly money. And
yeah,
they're
it's like
doing
they're
it
the
for
ones who
real.
actually have to give the money out and decide. We're like, well, just give him $20 million. Like,
You're like, well.
right.
Yep.
So it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. Like, I think Hard Knocks has gotten stale with training camp, and you kind of get it. But this is all behind the scenes
Now they're
with
going
GMs.
beyond.
I'm very excited
Beyond
for
training
the
camp.
because they're doing a division this year too,
Yeah.
right? So they're doing an in-season team, or is it no in-season team? It's just the division.
I think so.
I think that's it. Like that would be cool, just so you're not focused on one team the whole
I think the
time.
training camp just got repetitive, and it's
Yeah.
it's the same kind of thing. It's guys you don't really know trying to make the team, and
Getting cut.
Well, then also it's
Yeah.
like, especially with work here, it's kind of, it's not the sexiest practice ever. And then you go to HBO and it's like, boom, hard hitting. I'm like, this
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, nope, it's you're handing off to a running back and he's running 60 yards because they're not allowed to tackle it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
That was cool. They went to Elmo's though in that episode, and it was like it's just cool because whenever I watch that stuff, I just am grateful that I do what I do, and then I'm kind of in the mix of that stuff.
been
and,
there.
Yeah,
I
I know.
was
Like,
there.
I
I
go
was
there. I know
there.
that vibe. I'm like
Yeah.
looking for myself and the thing. Like it's cool. I really like the behind the scenes, especially with a team like that where it feels like they're a little bit at a crossroads, and you can feel that underlying tension of. What is this, year 3, I think, for them? Like, it's all right. You had a good first year. Last year was a down year. And now you got to figure it out. Are you going to hitch all your wagons to this guy, Daniel Jones, who, as they point out, had 3 significant injuries in the last 2 years? So it's, it's interesting. I like it. I think
Beat
it's
us,
good that they're
though.
switching it up.
Some other NFL
Dang it.
news. I don't know who it was, but they came out with the list of the top 10 running backs in the NFL, and Ramondre Stevenson wasn't on it.
Saw that.
So one of the stations, I think it was
Ball stations?
one of Paul's stations,
Okay.
yeah. So they were like, oh, that's a snub. You should be on it. Then they went down the list, and it's like, well, who are you going to kick off of this list?
Right.
It's all really good running backs.
Yeah.
And
And his contract was like paid him as, what, the 9th or 10th
Yeah.
guy? So he's
Yeah.
kind of on the cusp
yeah.
there.
And he didn't make honorable mention.
No.
But
Well, I
but-
mean, how many games did he play last
Yeah,
year?
he was
Right.
injured. He's been injured.
He's been
well, they
hurt.
had like Derrick Henry in the top 10.
Well,
I know, but like he was hurt. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, well, I think it's a big year for Ramondre. I mean, it's he's going to be a focal point, and I think everybody's hoping them be able to get back into just I mean, we can slowly dip into the football, the DVOA stuff, but that's a big part of, Alex.
Yeah.
Pimple's
But we
offense,
are
those guys.
less than 2 weeks away
Yeah.
from the first public
13
training
days.
camp.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, just
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
Where does time go?
Nuts.
This offseason flew by, especially.
We
We,
didn't really
had
have
so
one.
much going on. We didn't have one.
Yeah.
Except for last week.
I feel like
really.
the last 3 weeks, I've been taking little pockets.
Yeah.
Like I'll come in, like I do. Tuesday, Thursday we had the show, but I'll take it Friday, and so I feel like I've done a good job post Brady night to recharge the batteries, get out, break it up a little bit. But I don't know, with watching Hard Knocks and it's starting to ramp up.
Well,
you can feel
also,
it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but the receiver show came out, started yesterday too,
Yep.
which I don't know if I'm gonna watch because it's a
No,
bunch of,
that's
it's
too-
a bunch
too
of what ifs
painful.
for the
Right,
Patriots. So
right.
we
I'd
got
rather watch the boys.
Debo, Jefferson, what could have been.
But you mentioned Brady.
Yeah.
That reminded me, the guy behind you, Richard Seymour.
Ah,
There's rumors that
yeah.
he's looking to team up with him in his ownership bid for the Raiders.
Yeah, which might take some of the sticking points with Brady out of it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a Brady night when we had the.
Why do you say it takes some of the sticking points?
I don't know. That was what PFT said, that the NFL might be a little bit more amenable to. I mean, I know there were multiple issues with what the deal was going to be with the Raiders, that it was kind of a sweetheart deal and that it was all going to be Brady. But from what PFT said, that with two guys involved, that it might make it a
Yeah,
little
but
bit
I thought
more
that the
manageable
sticking
for
point
them,
was the
too.
price. That
Yeah.
they were undercutting it so much, devaluing what his share would be worth, that other owners are like,
Yeah.
that's you can't do that.
Well, maybe they up the price and then it's two guys.
Two
and then,
guys?
and
Well,
then maybe.
maybe.
They
Yeah.
didn't get into specifics as to why, but
Yeah.
I guess
The other
that's
thing
kind of-
is,
Would
like-
it wouldn't just be Brady alone though? He would have a bunch of investors in an
well, he's not
ownership
going to be the
group, I would
primary
assume.
owner.
Yeah.
He'd
Like,
just have a small
Right.
percentage.
It's too much money. I can't
But it's
wrap my
like-
head
I
around
know,
it.
right? I was looking at what the Celtics are gonna
Yeah.
probably go for.
But
Brady
the-
should just do that and avoid all the
But
conflict
the,
of interest.
the
Just get a
problem
group
is, like,
together.
even if he only has 1%, what
Yeah.
should that 1% be worth?
Mm-hmm.
And the Raiders made it so cheap
Right.
that they're like, okay, well, if you multiply now that 1%, 99 to get to 100, the value of our team is too low.
Right.
And other owners were like, so you can't do that,
But
Well,
what value does he
obviously.
then bring?
I'm confused
the
of why
team
you
and
would
the
even want to own a
franchise.
team you didn't play
Well,
for.
just pay him. What?
Why would you want to own part of a team you didn't play for?
wants the
I
juice.
know.
The whole thing's just
Well,
kind of
I
weird.
think- well, doesn't
wants
he?
the
He
juice.
owns part of a WNBA team in Vegas
Aces.
already.
Yeah, but
Aces, yeah.
it's not.
LA?
Like
football.
Vegas
No,
is the
Vegas.
cool place.
Yeah.
At least be funny and try to buy some of the Jets or the Bills or something.
No, I know,
To
but
really
I
own
think
them
I
for
think
real?
it's because it's in Vegas.
That has to be it.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of weird. It's
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you get the juice still. I mean, you think it's a little competitive juice. As much as I am a Patriot.
Yeah, you
I
said-
am
you said that a month
I'm
ago.
Patriot, except when the Raiders are playing.
But remember, even when the Brady was playing for the Patriots, still wasn't there talks of him looking for a house in Vegas? Like he and Giselle were
Yeah.
looking for a place in Vegas, and maybe that was because he knew he was going to get into WNBA and all that, and he's going to be spending more time there after he retires. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know,
It
but
seems like it'd be pretty easy for him to find a house in
Yeah.
Vegas too.
no, I know, but
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe I could never live there. I've
Yeah.
never lived in Vegas.
No.
But the other thing with Brady being an owner is, okay, so now if you're going to be 100%, in with Fox, how credible are you going to be when you're calling a game with the Raiders? Or
Right.
does Fox say you can't call games where the Raiders are involved?
Yeah.
But even if you're calling a game with the Chargers or the Chiefs, team in the same division, what's that like?
Mhm.
So it's weird. I don't think we've ever had
No.
an announcer who's also a
Special
part
owner.
owner.
I'm also very intrigued to see what he's going to be like calling games.
Yeah.
I never thought that was going to be his calling. I thought it would be like a GM.
I never
or a
thought he'd
coach.
go through with it.
Like,
honestly,
Me
I
either.
thought something would happen. It would be a very good reason why
Yeah.
he wouldn't do it.
I just
Yeah.
don't know why he would want to.
It's I don't know. It seems like
350 million.
Yeah, but it's such a grind. He can make 350 million in a million different ways.
Well, I'd so much rather just be a partial owner of a team and just kind of travel around and watch that team.
Yeah.
And
I thought maybe
embrace
he's-
that.
But
way.
you don't get the money.
Yeah.
You don't get the money until you sell your share.
Okay,
So
right.
it's just
But if you just invested, and I would imagine he's got other things, and I don't know. For me, at that point, it wouldn't be about money. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it's like to have.
Maybe-
Well,
like
it seems
$500
like
million
he's valuing
but-
his time with his family and the.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be getting into broadcasting
Yeah,
if I
it's-
wanted to
I-
spend time with my
it was
family.
always like it's Tony Romo or Kurt Warner. I don't know. Just there was a certain level of player, and he's the greatest of all time.
I feel like he's too good for this.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know?
Well, Montana tried it and he was terrible.
Yeah.
Remember? And at that time,
Brady should just run
Joe
for
Montana
president.
was the greatest quarterback at that time. And he was just terrible at it. He was terrible in the studio. He was
Why was he terrible? Was there?
He's just so vanilla. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't add anything. And he had no emotion. And he just wasn't good. And that's why people love Romo at first, because he came into it with a lot of enthusiasm and passion.
I don't know, Jim.
You know, and you could
All
tell
that.
that he really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Same way Madden did. You know, Madden wasn't that great, but he had the you know,
Yeah.
and he did it in a different way. He did it in his own way. It was unique, and you could tell he loved it. He wasn't just, you know, the robot from Syracuse that, you know, did it the same way that everybody else did. He had his own unique style of doing it, just like Romo did.
Yeah.
Will Brady? I don't know.
At least he'll get the good. He's not going to get like 1 p.m. Browns versus Jets. Like, he's going to get all the primetime games. So maybe people be. I don't know. I just.
So what's happening with Olsen? Is he?
He's
is he
on
a
the
bumped
he's on the
down?
He
number
got
2
bumped
team
to
now.
2.
Oh, so I thought he was a free. I thought like he was
No.
available to go to somewhere else. No.
I think next year. Maybe.
Next year,
But
okay.
he got bumped down to number 2.
Yeah, I know.
So-
Like, and
which is
how's-
crazy because he's one of the better.
phenomenal.
He's really good.
Well,
very
that's the
good.
other. Again, the fresh face, new voice. Everybody's like, okay, now he's the best.
He was. I know.
know?
Well, he was my favorite. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, he had that initial kind of Tony Romo explosion last year, I would say.
And it's just it's tough because now Al Michaels is on the Thursday game and they've all been duds. And he's
Well,
like,
that's yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm curious so far because I think about what you always used to say about Troy Brown, where it's like for certain guys who it just comes naturally to, how do they, I guess in this case, observe and report upon other players trying to do what they did.
Right.
You know, what's his angle going to be like there? And I mean, I'm sure he's been watching enough football now that he's kind of out of that player mindset and watching it competitively and watching it more as an analyst.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm very curious how he
Romo's
does.
thing when he first started, besides the the emotion, his thing was calling the play before it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
That was his kind of
Guessing
and
what
he
they're
did,
gonna
he
do.
like hit it, but now he's whiffing all the time.
Well, but I think they told him to like ease up on that because you know people are going to start keeping score, and you know you don't want
Yeah.
that to be a distraction. Was Tony right or wrong?
It wouldn't be
You know?
great. I don't know if it'd be great TV, but I think what would be interesting to me would be to hear Brady just spit out what he sees when the quarterback comes to the
Well,
line of
that's the
scrimmage.
thing. That's what you want. Like,
Like,
okay,
just lay it out for me.
you know, right? So you know,
It's cover
from the
two. This
booth,
looks like
you're at
cover
the
two.
line.
I know, I'm
Okay,
gonna
yeah.
send somebody motion to see
It
where
looks
man
like they're going to
coverage
be
here.
in cover
Yeah.
2 here.
0 out slot right, 335 max pace throwback chip flare.
There you go. So what are you seeing as a quarterback? What should have happened on that play,
Yeah.
as opposed to what did happen?
Because that was so much of what Josh told us. Of
Yeah.
That pre-snap, I mean, he deciphered the whole thing. He knows exactly where he's going with the ball 99% of the time after that point. So, you know, for him to be able to kind of, it wouldn't work every single time that he did it. But a couple times it would be interesting just to hear his processor fire out loud. Just
Yeah.
what do you see? Because I'm sure it would just be an avalanche of observations.
And how critical will he be? That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Like, when a guy screws up, is he going to call him out?
Is he watching Zach Wilson play?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Or as an owner of a team, I might have that guy on my team someday, so I can't be too critical.
Oh yeah,
Like,
well, see, and I'd love to hear like,
Right.
see if that if he did that with me, he wouldn't be getting the ball the rest of the game.
But-
you know, like things that we know we saw from Brady.
but me. I think what would be really cool. They're not gonna do obviously Manning cast, but do Brady and Manning.
Yeah.
that would be like just let them go. That's what makes that's why I sometimes like watching the Manning cast more because if a quarterback messes up, Manning freaks out, says why he messed up, and says what he would have done.
Yeah.
So
Oh, big year for Tom Brady.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I guess Alex, you said the Belichick news just broke too that he's going to be on Inside the NFL. as
Okay,
an
so what
analyst?
station is that on these days?
I think I'm going to look because we just got the
Is that
CW,
Showtime?
the CW
Oh, the
network.
CW?
Yep.
Wow,
he's
that's
gonna
still
join
around?
the CW.
I used to watch One Tree
Well, it is
Hill
the
on the
kids,
CW.
right? CW is the kids, right? You know, he's got the demo for the 20-somethings there.
So and that's on once a week. It's an hour show,
Yeah.
Yeah. and he's going to be a
what else is
regular guest, a regular host.
As an
Yes, the
analyst.
CW network today announced the most successful coach in NFL history and 8-time Super Bowl champion Bill Belichick will join the Emmy Award-winning Inside the NFL for its second season on the CW. We'll sit alongside Ryan Clark, Chad Johnson, and Chris Long. So that's a pretty good group.
that's
Two of those guys that
Ryan
played.
Clark,
Chris
isn't
Long
that the
and
guy
Chad
from
Johnson
the
will
Steelers
probably
that
be-
he had the back and forth with?
No, that was another Steelers safety. You're right. I mean, they did play a lot. That was another schmo guy. It was a schmo.
Okay.
You're talking about
Because
2007.
Ryan
when
Clark's really good.
Brady got in the
analyst.
guy's Brady
He's
got in his
excellent.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a different. I think it was like Smith, something Smith. I
Yeah.
know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
Where Brady
But-
torched him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was another Steelers safety.
Okay.
but he, Coach Chad Johnson, they've got kind of
Yeah.
a funny,
Yeah.
and Chris Long
Quick minute when
loves him.
coaches say,
Yeah.
yeah.
So probably
But notice
pretty
they
good.
said the most successful coach, not the greatest coach. I wonder, who chose those words.
Really
right.
reading into
There's
the
no doubt he's the
semantics.
most successful coach.
Right.
So
You
Bill
know?
Belichick's not coaching the U.S. men's soccer team.
No, I
That's
know.
my pipe dream.
Yeah, they fired him.
I think
then-
Bill would have been great.
And then Paul would have been like, well, I mean, 2 as a coordinator. Doesn't count.
So,
Fix your boat name.
So he's keeping busy.
yeah.
Very busy.
To say the least.
Do you-
Although I hear that he's finding out that there's more to life than just football.
So I saw that clip from Greg Hill yesterday where Courtney Cox seems convinced that yep, that's it. Yep, he's found a new perspective on life this new flame has made him reevaluate everything, and there's more to life than football. I'm like,
He comes
What
back,
are we
starts
doing?
paying people, and signs all these free agents.
Well, do you think that he'll coach next year?
yes.
You do.
I think so too. I think there's
I
a couple.
I still think he wants to, but I think now there's a little bit less chance than it was 3 months ago.
Yeah, a little bit. I still think there's going to be a desperate team that just says this changes our.
They got to be close
Full
though,
company.
It
right?
might be like I'm
Yeah,
thinking like
a
maybe
desperate
the
team that's
Cowboys.
close.
I feel like if the Cowboys have a bad
Cowboys,
start
maybe
next
the Eagles
year.
seems like he's on, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, even how much did Bill want to go to the Falcons? It seemed like that was about to happen, and
Yeah.
are they close? I don't know. I just wonder if it's not necessarily about close for him. It's about the situation of who it is. I don't, you know what I'm
Or
trying
maybe
to
just
say?
the love of the game. He would
Yeah.
coach anyone.
Yeah.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. But I think a team Washington made a lot of sense to me initially just because it would change their whole kind of narrative. And all of a sudden it just alters their franchise by
Yeah.
bringing in that coach.
Well, I think wherever he goes, he's going to have to make it clear that I'm willing to work within the structure that you have, and I'm not going to turn over everything and redo everything, because that's a lot, and sometimes that actually sets your program back a year or two. So if you know that he's not going to be there for a long time, you probably want that agreement that
Yeah.
it's going to be plug and play.
That's the first conversation with
Yeah.
him is just, look, we know you don't have a lot of time. How do we get this done? And how do we become
Yeah.
contenders in 2 years? Like
Yeah.
that. And then you ride it out 2, 3, 4 as long as it's able to maintain it. But you can't say, here's my 5-year plan. He's going to be in his 80s.
That's why I think the Cowboys might be a perfect fit. Depending, I don't know what Dak's situation
Well,
is.
yeah,
but
that would be perfect.
I just don't know how Jerry and Bill will work. But if they both are like,
At
let's
first, they'll
I
work
don't know.
fine.
I feel
Parcells
like-
is a good litmus test
Yeah,
for
there you
that.
go.
He came down
Yep.
for a couple years. It was fine. But that's the key. It's only going to be for a few years.
Yeah.
You know?
so then it's like 2 years, or you
Yeah.
go all kind of do what the Rams did a couple years ago, like let's go all in. And
I mean, they were talking about it, Bill on NFL Live. I think, what is he, 14 games away? Like 14 games? Like,
Yeah.
I know.
you could get that.
the clock. I mean, he's
Yeah,
got
but
some
if you
time.
kind of like,
You go to a decent team,
If-
2 seasons.
yeah, but if you just do it that way and you win 7 games, isn't that kind of like forcing the record?
It's like when
kind of like a phony record.
It's like when
you know?
Brett, I remember
know.
Brett
I
Favre
don't know.
when he
Go
got his
pad your
concussion,
stats.
and they
Yeah.
wanted to keep the starts going. It's like, oh, maybe he'll just go and take a knee.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Yeah.
is that the same
Who
thing?
cares about that record? I really don't. And I hope he doesn't either.
No.
You know?
It's I don't know, but like he did so many amazing accomplishments. Like if
Right.
you want to kind of limp to the end and just get those last 14 somehow, I'm kind of willing to overlook
But I think it diminishes it. But anyway,
Yeah.
All right. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Let's go to Christian in L.A., but who's in Italy.
Oh,
Calling.
buongiorno.
Ciao.
What's up, Christian?
Ciao, guys. How are you? Buongiorno from Italia.
So why are you in Italy calling this show? if you're on
Everyone's in
vacation?
Italy.
Yeah.
It's like 2 in the morning. You
Well,
gotta-
I was in Italy for a wedding in a town called Parma.
wow.
And I'm standing there, and there's people walking up to me in jerseys, and it turns out that I got there the day after the Parma Panthers won their championship football game.
Oh, okay.
And as it turns out, the quarterback of the Parma Panthers and his mother are New England Patriots fans.
Wow.
Wow. Full circle.
That's so.
Yeah,
That's,
it was
world.
really fun. It was really crazy to talk football with people from another country.
and did you tell them that you're Christian from L.A.?
Yes, I did. And they listened to your show, and they had heard me speak before on the show. I was like, "Whoa, that's you!"
All right, you're lying. Right? You're not telling me the truth.
I need video evidence.
No,
Yeah.
I'm still in Italy. I am still in Italy. So here's my my football thing, though. And it's a game for you guys. Can you name the last 3 picks that we made where the pick after became a superstar? Name the player that we picked and the player after that became a superstar.
That's subjective.
And
but,
then on Brady and Manning.
yeah.
If Brady and Manning did a telecast together, who would be the play-by-play guy, and who would be the color commentator? I'll take it off air, and I'll be back in America.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Keep spreading the Patriots gospel.
I don't know the answer
I don't
to
know.
the first one.
And he left before he gave us the
All I
answer.
can think of was, didn't they trade out of a spot and then Justin Jefferson went? So
No,
like, kinda Justin
the
Jefferson
Vikings
could've-
traded ahead of us.
Traded ahead of us. Okay, so they couldn't have had him. I don't know. That's
Sony Michel. No.
So it's
I
got to
just
be
don't
a
Who was
know.
player
drafted
right
after
after.
N'Keal Harry?
I know. Well, that's.
I don't know.
But it's not right after him even too. Like
Yeah,
'cause
it could
it's
be
like
anyone after.
Was it?
Debo was after him.
Isaiah Wynn
AJ.
with Lamar Jackson. Is that it?
That's one.
Right?
That's one. That's
Sounds
one.
right.
I think so. Right in the
I
neighborhood.
would consider Lamar Jackson a superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to consult, but it's too miserable,
Yeah.
and I'm in a positive Patriots state of mind. So don't take me
Yeah.
down, Christian.
The trades from Cole Strange there were a couple of good picks from those 8 dropbacks.
By the way, he went to that's a pretty big flex. Wedding in Italy. Like,
Everyone is having their wedding in Italy. The last 2 summers,
big
everyone's
ask.
in Italy.
Well,
Big
who's
ask.
everyone?
All the people on Instagram.
the influencers. They're
People I don't
influencing
know.
everyone to
None of
have
my
Italian
friends are
weddings.
getting married in Italy.
It's a
Yeah,
big
that's what
ask,
it
though.
is.
Like I could really drive to the Cape for a wedding, like fly to Italy.
Oh, you should see wedding culture right now. It's out of control.
Crazy.
The bachelor parties.
I'm
too.
declaring it out of control.
Greg says I look like a little kid in this chair.
These chairs are comfy. I hope the
very
new
good.
Like,
ones
why
are as
am
comfy
why
as
am I the
this.
only one that's sunk down? Is that because I'm fat?
I don't know. You gotta you gotta sit up.
Make yourself feel bigger.
I don't know. So I'll have to put like wood underneath my cushion. So
All right, what about
We'll get
the,
you a booster.
the
Prop
color
me up.
commentator for Brady? Who would for Brady and Manning?
I think Manning is the play-by-play and Brady's the color.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so too.
They're both great color guys, though. I mean,
You
Yeah.
just take turns
Yeah.
every
You-
other
you
every other
come.
day.
I know, I got all
Switch
thrown
by
off.
half.
Lou Maloney doesn't usually do the Red Sox play-by-play, right? He's the color guy, or
He's,
is he the
he's
play-by-play?
well, he did play-by-play on the radio
right?
recently.
Yeah.
that's what
As
I
a-
heard.
Just as a fill-in.
Okay, that's what I heard, and I was a little
Yeah.
bit thrown off by it because
No.
Fred, I've been watching a lot of Red Sox lately. They've
Why
been
not?
doing
They're a
well.
fun team.
They're a fun team. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm glad Paul isn't here.
I said
I
they were a fun team.
redabbled.
I
You
said they
have-
were a
you've
fun
been
team
on it.
before everybody said they were a fun
I
team.
can confirm.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, it was funny is I just I'm having conflict because I'm like I wake up, I turn on sports like man, Brian Bayos struck out the first 10 batters,
Yeah,
and
and
then
he-
all of a sudden Tony Maserati, I get a clip on Instagram of Tony Maserati saying that he's been a fail, and I'm like I don't follow enough of that right now to know what the hell he's talking about, but there's just a disconnect of what?
Well, see, that's
How do you strike out 10 guys, and then you're
this
a fail?
is typical Tony. You know, fail is too strong a word, right? The jury's still out on this kid. He is struggling. He's having trouble with his control. He's got the stuff, but he's having trouble with control, and he's walking a lot of guys, and he's getting himself into trouble. And then when something bad happens in the field, it all goes south. But that was a typical Bayo game where he strikes at all those people, but he's still having trouble because
Yeah.
he doesn't have the control that he needs. But he might get it. But
Yeah.
to say that he's a fail, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Well, wasn't it?
Then Jaron Duran was a fail, and now he's an all-star.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to trust your scouting and your coaching and stick with a guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
No, they're
especially in baseball.
a fun team.
I mean, these guys go through the minor leagues. Sometimes they don't become a pro until their mid-20s, late 20s. That's not rare. That's happens a lot in baseball.
No, little baseball in July feels nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, I'm having fun watching all. How do you lose to the A's? Come on.
I know.
Come on.
I thought they had the bases juice last night with Rafi, and he grounded out.
Yeah.
Tough.
All right. Let's get email is webradio@patriots.com. Floyd writes in. He's in Michigan. Floyd. Would you ever consider the following? He says, having some shows where you don't take calls, having some shows where you don't take as many calls. To me, over time, the quality of the callers has declined. Can you and Paul please talk more? I mean, we've taken one call.
It's tough when Paul's not here.
I know. It's the star of the show.
Yeah. No, you know what? I hear what he's saying because when I'm watching or listening to Paul's shows, notably Felger and Maz in the afternoon when I'm driving home, sometimes the calls do bring it down.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Felger's really good at how he handles them. If they start going on, he cuts them off. If they don't start up right away, he cuts them off. And that becomes a shtick in and of itself, how he handles the callers. But I don't want to do that with our callers because I feel like if you take the time to call, like I should at least be nice to you.
No, Felger, no time for pleasantries.
Yeah, like
no time for
I'm
pleasantries.
grateful that you're calling us and listening.
What's the question? Just get to it.
Yeah.
I don't have
know.
time
I
to
feel
tell you I'm
so
doing
bad listening to that. I'm like, this poor guy is just excited to call into his favorite show.
But it is funny.
It's like 14-year-old kid, like, hi guys, first time calling.
Like when
what's the question?
It was like that 7-year-old that called into McAfee.
But the best call I ever heard on Felger, the guy calls up. He had been waiting for an hour. He gets on the phone and he goes, first time, long time, I'll hang up and listen. That was his call. And like Felger and Maz just broke up. It was the best call ever. The best call ever.
Hang up and listen is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. Yeah.
First time, long time, I'll hang up and listen. Like, great call. Great call.
They're probably so thrown off.
I just like the questions that spark a conversation. And sometimes people
and
will
you
call
never
in and
know
ask a
when
question,
they-
and we'll
too.
just get going, and we forget the person's even on the line.
Well, Melvin's been very good at that over the years.
Yeah.
Sweet kid.
Yeah.
He usually throws a hand grenade and we start arguing.
Yeah. The hard calls for me are when somebody just kind of throws a grenade of, hey, let's rehash this terrible story, and like throws it in. And like, I don't want to get into the whole like Bill versus Tom thing right now. Like, those ones sometimes, especially if you're in like a positive headspace.
Travis in West Virginia. Earlier, Fred, I heard you say about Montana he was vanilla and had no emotion. It turns out you were talking about Montana's broadcasting career, but my initial assumption was you were talking about Pat Nagawam. Boom. It's a little listener on email or crime.
They're killing each other today. What's going on here? The dead of the offseason.
the heat of the summer.
Yeah.
As I am wont to do, I disagree with everyone's take on Greg Olson as a broadcaster. He gets on my nerves because he tries to impart some kind of deep football wisdom into every play, and it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
to each their own. Usually,
Different strokes for different folks.
that's just white noise to me. Especially when we're usually watching the games in here. Like,
I have to say he's good, but I don't get the whole
The hype.
oh my God, he's great. Yeah, I don't get that. Yeah.
certain people you
To
like.
me, all that says is the rest of them aren't that good. If he's that good, then the rest of them really aren't. Yeah.
Here we go. This is
Wow.
all right. This
How
is
do
how
you
lunch is going to
navigate
work.
this?
You need like one of those like pneumatic tubes that just like fires it in here.
Hits me in the head.
the broadcasting has been annoying me the past couple years. I think it's gotten worse. Is the on broadcast ref like refusing to just admit that the ref made a bad call?
Yeah.
I think it's gotten so much worse
Right.
over the past 2 or 3 years, and it's just like just admit he messed up. It's fine. They're human. They make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, that's the right call. It's like it's not.
Well, when they first started, I forget who the guy was. I think he was on Fox. They don't use him anymore, but he was always wrong. Like they bring him in while they're
Not
trying to
Pereira?
figure it out.
Mike Pereira?
It wasn't
No,
Pereira. No, Pereira's pretty good.
Yeah.
This guy was an older guy with white hair, maybe Terry something. I forget, but he was always wrong.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of him.
I think there's just so many new rules this year too, so it's just gonna be more and more the kickoffs, the hip drop. So I don't know. I'm not looking forward to
Just
that.
reminded me of the hip drop. I forgot about that thing. Oh my god.
Speaking of the kickoff, Martin writes in, and does Martin say where he's from?
Martine?
He's from London.
Upstairs.
Bringing up the kickoff rule, do you think the Jets have brought Tariq Cohen back into the league as a sole kickoff returner? Feels like he fits the prototype for what is needed in that role, especially when Evans said that teams will need a jitterbug-type returner. Do the Patriots need to bring someone in just for the returns? Feels like an opportunity to put points on the board. So is it worth investing in a guy for that sole purpose, or risk an existing guy getting banged up by running into oncoming traffic?
We got Marcus.
Yeah, I think they got some options to consider. I mean, I wouldn't go out. I mean, I'd love to see Marcus Jones get a chance at it.
Pop. Or Rager.
Douglas, Rager was the regular kickoff guy.
I'm very interested. I think we're going to see a crazy, like, first 6 weeks Like nobody's gonna know what to do with the kickoff. But then I could also just see it turning into like just boot it out. Can you boot it out of the end zone? I don't know. I just see.
You can still do that.
Yeah, I can just see people just being like, "We're not dealing with this. Just boot it out the end
But
zone."
how do you handle
When
the
in doubt.
preseason? Like, do you not reveal anything, or do you have to figure it out for your own purposes? Like, we have to show what we're gonna do because we don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, then I do hope that like it is an added factor to the game and that you do have some superstars back there.
Yeah.
And like see what they can do. So
Make
I
some
don't know.
plays.
Also, Martin says he's new to the show, and he wants to know what our season schedule is. During the season, we're Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 2 hours each. So we go up to 3 shows a week during the season.
That'll be for week 1, though. I mean, not
Yeah,
during preseason
it's the
or anything
it's
like
the
that.
it's the week prior to the first game of the regular season.
And then we got the schedule for the shows too. So we'll do the first 4 practices will be live PU, and then some of them, because of the shifted practice schedule at 11 to 1, will probably be a little bit later. So maybe on Tuesday and Thursday there, and
During
early
camp,
August.
you want to
we'll have a little
check
later
your local
shows.
stations.
Check your local listings. Check your TV guide.
Yeah.
When PU will be on.
All right, my food's here. I gotta go.
Fred's food's here.
I gotta send it to Paul. So we're gonna take a break, and we'll be right back with more PU and Patriots food, whatever it's called. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want on your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
What's up, everybody? Matty here. Let's listen to a snippet from A Pats from the Past with Mike Vrabel.
It's time now for another episode of Pats from the Past podcast. Matt Smith and Paul Perillo, joined by the newest member of the Patriots Hall of Fame, Mike Vrabel. And boy, for two people, I know you'd think we're going to be BSing you, but we were on the table, Mike, pounding every single year. Get Vrabel in, get Vrabel in. Finally, you're in. What was the experience like for you yesterday, Mike?
Well, it was amazing. Just to come up and the reception that we received, my family received, that I received from, first of all, the fans that were here in the rain. And again, I know that I wish that we could have had the fans, but we didn't. I think it was an intimate reception. Just a lot of emotion. I don't think I've given myself a chance to just to go back and reflect on that, on the 8 years here and the success and the teammates. And I think that was probably the coolest thing, was to see them and see Dante and be able to, just catch up and, just see how excited everybody is for you.
Can we go back to the start of that 8 years and, sort of run us through your free agent visit here? We've heard a lot of stories about how it's not overly glamorous when
Rodney
you come
uses
in.
the ground round line, that they wind and dine him at the ground round. I don't know if you were a
Well,
ground
I
round
was
guy.
with Anthony Pleasant, and so we probably got a little nicer experience. I think we actually went to the Capitol Grill in Chestnut Hill. And,
Excuse us.
yeah, so because I think Bill had history with Anthony Pleasant, so he was probably like, well, let me take Anthony for a nice meal. And but it was just, visit at the stadium, old Foxborough Stadium. And, again, these aren't recruiting trips. These are trips to make sure that, this is the player that we want to target, and the player can ask questions and get information and then make a decision. And so didn't have a whole lot of options, and this one was certainly, the best one for me.
You said yesterday during your speech that it was important for you to start. In 4 years you did a lot, but you wanted to start. Did you get a sense maybe on that visit or early on, Mike, that these guys had a good idea of how to use you?
Well, I can remember having a conversation with Bill and him saying, hey, really all we need is what you did in that preseason game last year against Miami. And I'm thinking, I don't even remember playing Miami in the preseason. But Bill had gone back and he had watched, and there were clips that he must have seen that there was a vision for, probably an extended play time at that point in time in the preseason or whenever it was. And so then I started thinking, okay, well, at least they have an idea of how they want to use me or what I may be able to do there. Bill had talked about the opportunity, not guaranteeing anything, but saying that there would be a spot available pretty much at outside linebacker where they would have some other players to compete with, and then see where things were.
When you look at the way your years unfolded, it's almost like it was a perfect system for you. I mean, did you catch that right away? Like, they really want to use me exactly to
I don't think I wasn't being misused in Pittsburgh. I had just transitioned from a couple different positions, was rotating in and was getting some playing time 3 and 4 years in, special teams, some third down packages, whatever that may be. But this was a new opportunity. Some carryover from Pittsburgh, some different. And then as things progressed and it was, learn this position, actually, I think I played 2 seasons inside linebacker or a season and a half at some point in time, and find myself at different spots.
I've heard this from many ex-players, guys who you played with and everything like that. Were you able to get away with more as far as like maybe busting Bill's balls?
Well, I don't know. I think the timing
is that
always
overrated?
Or? No, I don't think it's overrated. I think that there is, like I said yesterday, I think I said things that everybody wanted to say. And I probably was just dumb enough to say them. I sometimes say the quiet part out loud sometimes, unfortunately. But it's all timing. And sometimes, it's a turd in a punch bowl and doesn't always work, but sometimes it works out pretty good. But that takes a little bit of time, and it takes, again, you have to be willing to take it if you want to give it. And I think that Bill always was very conscious of that, whether that's players to Bill or Bill to us. He knew that we had to sit there and take it when we got the low lights, and we'd be on the balustrader and it would be like what we can't do, and so it was a good situation. We had a bunch of really good teammates that all kind of rallied behind that.
Do you think you were able to back it up with your play though, Mike? I don't know if that's a 53rd or 54th guy that was trying to crack wise. It might be different. Well, you were a core guy on all 3 phases of the game.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes a locker room is just different personalities. Again, you have to perform on the field, and then whatever your personality is, I think there was no restrictions on, hey, we just want a bunch of robots. I think that was the impression that everybody had, and we certainly weren't that.
Well, the best thing about Mike, and I told you this a million times, Mike didn't care who he was busting on. Professional. I used to call you a professional ball buster.
Okay.
That's what you were. I'd come in with like a TV shirt on one day, and he'd go, look at this fraud. He's got TV tonight. It didn't matter. He treated all of us the same, and I think that's probably permeated the locker room and garnered respect in that way.
Well, again, I think the fact that if you have a relationship with somebody, I think that's when you kind of go back and forth with them. It's like having a nickname. If you don't have a nickname, there's no such thing as a bad nickname. Just be appreciative that you have a nickname. That means that they know who you are and that you're kind of a part of the group. And if you don't have a nickname, you better try to figure out why. And so it was, whether it was the relationship with the media, it was a two-way street, assistant coaches and certainly teammates.
Much has been made. You played in a different era, believe it or not, as during your career, the league was starting to legislate against defenses, hard hitting and everything like that. When you look back at the Warner play, Ty's interception, I thought it was very generous of Ty to give you credit yesterday too. Are you going to get flagged for that if that play happens today, do you think?
I don't know. I think that what we've talked about is matching the hand, and they've changed here in the last year or two about what's forcible. I don't know. I should have gotten there sooner, to be honest with you. They didn't block me. It was just a lucky play, and Ty did all the work. But whether it's, as long as it's not forcible, we've talked about matching the hand, and same thing that they teach here, and everybody else is trying to teach. And didn't hit the football. I'm glad that I didn't, so that Ty was able to catch it and score.
Can we ask you a little bit about tight end too, and
Sure.
just sort of how that transition How did it come about? Whose idea?
Well, I think Drew put it best yesterday. I had a bunch of energy, and I'd show up 3 hours before the game and go out on the field, and Drew would be out warming up, and I would start running routes, and he'd say, well, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, run this, different routes, and I'd run them on the right, and we'd flip around and run them on the left, and then I'd go inside and wait for the game. And he must have had a conversation, or Charlie was outside and said, hey, this guy could probably do this. And we had it in. We used it finally in the Chargers game in San Diego, scored. We lost the game, so it did not get much attention. And then kind of snowballed from there. Whether we had 2 tight ends active or 3, sometimes that third tight end was never very happy when we got down to the goal line. And, so those tight ends probably hated the fact that I would go in there at times.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And now, great moments in history.
And yet I was still nice enough to invite you along.
Yes, it was very nice.
Yes,
you
it
were
was
the
very
third
nice.
wheel? You got our table.
No, there were
for
like
us?
6 of us.
I mean, the place was
I was
packed.
going to say, Fred was the you-know-what block.
Why are you mad at me?
Why? He says with the big grin across his face.
Why are you so upset
You know
about
what you
all
did.
of this?
I'm upset at you.
Why?
Just you.
All of our lives are open book. Why is it yours?
Yeah, why are you
Open
special?
book. Oh, you purposely do these things.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. He
I
admits it.
purposely talk. We all talk about things going on.
You make things out of thin air that are not there.
What's thin air? You were with a lady friend. What's thin air about that?
No, a lady friend implies that there's something going on.
And
she rode.
That's the end of it.
Dude, look like a lady.
But it doesn't have to be.
It is, because I told you yesterday, and I don't like it when you make me repeat myself.
Sounds like my father.
Exactly.
You think I'm screwing things up for you? Just tell me.
You've been screwing things up for me for 12 years, buddy.
Did you specifically tell him not to mention it?
No, I knew he was going. As soon as he walked up and saw us, he had that stupid grin that he's got on his face right now.
I can so see it, too.
I won't mention it again, but when something happens, could you let us know?
Nothing
What do you mean?
is going to happen.
Like if they hook, if they decide to.
Nothing is going to happen. You effing morons. I'm going to go with Andy.
Wait, why are you yelling at me? I didn't do anything. It's
because
him.
Because you're joking around too.
I
know
egged him on a little.
Yes, you do.
I admit it, but this is all Fred.
I don't. Okay.
What'd you guys eat? Did I miss that part?
I had swordfish.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. We miss Eric.
You used to eat swordfish during the show?
No. This was at the dinner that I saw the two of them.
Oh, all right. I misinterpreted the story. I thought you were gnawing down
Oh,
on
no.
a swordfish.
Fish at work? You don't do that.
Fireball fence.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if it's in the microwave.
Oh, yeah, you don't do that.
No, you got to eat it cold if
What
you're
about
going to.
shrimp?
Happened here 2 days ago.
Well, it depends. If it's gonna,
Shrimp works.
If it's gonna,
Shrimp's almost right because it's kind of seafoody, but
yeah, shrimp cocktail.
The
But if
shuck
you're
and
gonna,
oysters
if you're gonna
in the
cook
office.
something that's gonna emanate this, vile smell to the rest of the office, that's just not good etiquette. What's not cauliflower? What's the other thing that Brussels sprouts?
Brussels sprouts smell.
Yeah. Broccoli's pretty bad too. Broccoli's pretty bad smell when you cook it. Like it's kind of underrated. I mean, I like broccoli, but air fryer broccoli BT dubs.
Yeah.
Change the game.
I got to talk to you about the air fryer.
You got what, cancer?
No. Well,
because Lane was like, no, I heard because
the Teflon
it recycles
ones.
the air. It recycles the air, and I'm like, all right, so the air fryer causes cancer. Our gas stove causes cancer. The microwave probably causes cancer.
We can't escape cancer.
What am I left with? Like charcoal causes cancer.
I've
like, what
detoxed
doesn't
enough of my life that I'm not that worried about the air fryer, especially because I don't use it that often.
Yeah.
So my issue is that like people on TikTok cook meat in the air fryer way better than I do.
Yeah.
And I don't get it because I'm a master with a stainless steel pan, cast iron. Like I can do the hard stuff.
Yeah.
I cannot figure out how people get the sear and the crispiness in the air fryer.
Put it in the air fryer and turn it on.
Yeah. And
No,
then
but don't they?
I
cook
think
it- don't
people
they-
on
Don't they
TikTok-
sear it first and then they put it in the air
That's sometimes
fryer?
with a crock pot.
I saw a guy on
awesome. You do it in the
YouTube
crock
cook
pot?
a steak in his air fryer, and it looked beautiful on one side. And you can't convince me that he's not putting that on a cast iron
Right.
and then putting
I've
it in
done
the air
steak
fryer
tips.
just
perfect
for
grill marks.
Just,
Steak tips in the air fryer, then you take it off halfway through, shake it. It's good.
I don't know if I would put
The air
steak
fryer's
in
changed
there.
my life.
Air fryer hot dogs.
Really?
Air fried
It's-
hot dogs have been.
It's so convenient. Like and
Air
like,
fryer hot dogs.
Like, you
If
can't
that's
just, like,
not the
hammer out
most
Alex-
single man I live alone thing I've ever
So
heard.
Not single anymore.
Why? If it's,
True.
If it's air, right? It's hot air.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Where's the fry come in?
Right.
I
well,
don't
you
ask
put a little
questions.
avocado
Olive
oil
oil.
on
Put
it.
oil on it.
You know, and then but it's not drowning in the oil. It hits it with air, and I mean, I've done tofu, I've done salmon, I've done chicken,
And
broccoli.
Speed? Is it fast?
It's like
Yeah,
10,
it's
10
so
minutes.
quick.
Like nothing
The-
you're gonna.
the
Nothing's
guy
gonna
put
cook
his
more than
steak
like
in-
13 minutes.
Frozen
in it.
foods is the best thing to do. Like
Yep.
you get a bag of fries, tastes like McDonald's.
Oh, it does.
So now they make ovens that are air fryers.
Yeah,
too,
like
right?
the toaster ones that.
I
No, I don't mean. I mean like your conventional.
My
oven.
convention oven made air fried
Oh,
chicken last night with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just cut up a potato, toss it in avocado oil and salt, throw them in,
Boom.
and it's like fresh fries, like right out of the thing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's too convenient, like, and that's why Elaine's already pumping the brakes on it. Like, we're using this thing too much, and I'm like,
So the
Shut
oil
up.
creates the crispiness.
yeah, and even on like tofu. I don't know, some people don't like tofu, but we'll eat it every couple of weeks, but. It'll like crisp it up. It'll put a shell on it if you toss it
What
in
about
cornstarch a
baked
little
potato? Will it cook a baked potato?
Yeah.
Nice.
Quick.
Yeah.
I bet. I
everything.
mean, I'd have to
Fluffy
check
inside?
that, but I'd have to check. But I'm sure.
Deuce will get back to you.
I know. But usually I just cut them up and toss them in oil. and let 'em-
Nachos, like it's great.
It's quick too. And it's pretty healthy, I guess, except for the cancer part apparently. But
Well, I
apparently
think
everything
it's
causes
only-
cancer.
Except for the cancer.
What are you
I
gonna
think it's
do?
only if. I think it's Teflon.
Yeah.
That like there's stainless steel ones that are fine, but I think if you scratch the Teflon,
Yeah.
the chemicals
you
start
get
to
stuff.
seep out.
Oh,
But those, I don't know.
I've been using it for
I mean,
reheating.
If you
I'm
don't
getting
get it
too
from
old to
your air
care.
fryer, you're gonna get it from like your
Just like-
deodorant and going outside. So
It's like if you have to go, at least go well fed.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
go eating air fried food, and I
Right.
mean the air fried broccoli. You get it like burned almost, and it's like crispy. It's my favorite.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my.
and it's
favorite
nice
air
in the
fryer.
You could
summer
bring an air
because the
fryer to the
oven you
studio
don't
and
heat
have
up the
some
whole
outlets
house
here.
in the summer. It's too hot to use the oven.
Right?
We'll have a cook-off. We'll have a microwave, an air fryer, a deep fryer.
The PU cook.
And then we'll see who gets
Dibs
the
on the
answer
stainless
first.
steel pan. That's my
Oh, yeah.
utensil of
Grease
choice.
everywhere.
Oh
in
yeah.
the studio.
Well, still just an cast iron skillet. You can do amazing things with that, and I think that's probably pretty healthy, unless you're using gas because.
Yeah. Okay. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Jeff in New Brunswick. I was listening to the conversation Tuesday about starting Drake Maye in week 1.
Yeah.
I think we are forgetting why they brought Jacoby Brissett here in the first place. He's an established middle-of-the-road veteran with a great locker room reputation, and he's a solid leader. No one ever thought that Drake wouldn't look better on the field by the end of camp. Not starting Jacoby for the first few weeks at least will deprive Drake of the thing he needs more than anything, leadership training. All NFL quarterbacks are required to be good leaders. Their primary goal is taking a team of apex athletes with individual goals and agendas into battle against other teams. Leadership is learned and practiced skill, not something you are born with. I'm not sure about that. Drake needs to see how Jacoby manages his weekly schedule, how he handles dissent on the sideline, how he rallies the team when they're behind, how he deals with team success and failure, how he handles coaches, the media, the multitude of distractions, and so on. What Drake did at UNC will no doubt help, but it can't be close to what he will see in New England. He's still just a kid. Like all fans, I hope Drake is the answer, and I'm excited to see him in action as soon as possible. But I think starting him week 1 would be a mistake. We have to rely on Gerard and AVP to make the right call on that one at the right time. So what do you think about the whole leadership?
I would respectfully disagree. I think there are some things that I do agree with of just getting a feel for the games. But I don't think if you sit out for 6 games, it's going to make you a leader all of a sudden. I think
But what he's saying is watching someone who is a good leader. Does
Yeah.
that make you a good leader?
I think
still
you
be a
go
leader
play
and not
quarterback
start,
at the University of North Carolina, and you probably have some of those intangibles you need by that point. It's not like he's a toddler.
I mean, we all know what's going to happen, right? Like, I mean, it's going to be hard. There's going to be, some games that they don't play well, and you're going to have to face the media and explain why. And it's not this like secret about how you handle those things the right way. And he seems like the kind of kid that understands.
That's why I kind of disagree with the part that you're like not born a leader. You have I think you kind of.
I think some people have that
Some people are just born with those
outward
personalities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The je ne sais quoi.
I think he kind of has it. I wouldn't be worried that if he plays immediately that he's not going to understand how to be a leader for the team. I do agree with the point, though, that, like I said, I think on Tuesday, of just understanding how a game goes with adjustments and understanding how much things might have to change based on the game plan that you had going into the game to when you get punched in the mouth and you need to adjust. So I do think that there's an element of that would be helpful to understand. Like, look, we thought we were going to be able to do this. We got to go to this. And, Drake Maye at that point might be like, I have no idea how to execute plan B. Whereas Jacoby Brissett has had that experience and has gone out there and run into a brick wall and realized, look, our game plan is not going to work. We need to adjust on the fly. So I do agree there, but ultimately I just think we're talking about little elements that aren't going to really matter in the long run. And ultimately you just want to start the clock on them.
I'm not saying that there's nothing to be learned by watching, but there's a hell of a lot more to be learned by doing. And if Jacoby's on the sideline helping him through those transitions, that's fine too. Yes, I think it was a great idea to bring Jacoby Brissett in because he is, he's a good locker room guy. He's a veteran in the league. He can teach Drake a lot, but he doesn't have to teach him out in the field. He can teach him on the sideline in camp. Listen, like I said, unless he's mentally not ready, he will be the starter week 1, Drake Maye.
One thing I think did he say that everyone expected Drake Maye to look better than Jacoby Brissett at camp? I think
that's what he's saying.
I don't really expect that. I mean, I think it's certainly a possibility, and I would welcome that. But I think really more of my expectation was that Jacoby Brissett just understands how to run the offense right now, and it's a little bit smoother. And at least, I mean, there's no question on the field the athleticism is completely different, especially when you compared to past quarterbacks that were here with how Drake looks, but. I just think the execution, I'm expecting that should look better under Jacoby. And if it looks the same or Drake looks better at that, then what are we doing?
Now, Maye has stuck around, right? He never left Foxborough.
I think I read that with was that what Reese said? I think
his girlfriend's been posting a lot of explore Boston area TikToks.
Well, there you go. That's
it
we got
seems
Alex.
like they're around.
She's got her ear to the ground.
I mean,
she makes good TikToks.
He's
where is this location?
Even though the team's not here, he's still football.
Yeah, I doubt
he's getting ready.
I doubt he's like, I'm just gonna leave the playbook here and go check out the city real quick.
Right?
He's like, I've never been to a new state before. This is crazy. Different things in North Carolina. Sorry, that's my Cole Strange voice. I went into that one for a second.
Listen, we got to get another dialect on the southern accent.
If he can handle a rotary on the first try, then he can handle being a quarterback in the NFL.
There you go.
Sorry.
You got a rotary story?
So West Springfield's putting in a new rotary,
Oh.
and it was at a place where you formerly could take a left. People lost their minds. They don't know how to use a rotary. People were taking a left into this rotary to the point where the construction company that's doing the work had to put up cones to block. So you can't even use the rotary yet until the signs are here because people...
Good old
Fred
Massachusetts
lives on the Cape. You're a
drivers.
rotary guy through and through, right? You
Yeah.
have rotaries coming out your ears.
Well, the Bourne rotary, they changed the lines on the road to make it a little bit less confusing.
I saw that. Yeah.
I think it's a good addition.
Yeah.
But if you're coming from Falmouth, it backs people up more because before you'd come from 28 and you just blow out onto the rotary. But now they funnel you to one lane. At least if you're trying to, follow the lines, and so it backs up a little bit more. Yeah.
Sagamore.
They don't have
flyover.
rotaries out in Western Mass? Like, what is it, like, end at Worcester?
No,
or something?
we
Like,
do.
why
There's
don't
like
they
a famous rotary that makes no
Just a
sense.
new
in East
rotary
Long. It's a
blows
new
people's
one,
minds
and it's in
now.
like the center mall of the town. So I know that was an aside, but I think Fred could sense I had some
rotary story.
Rotary.
He heard my sigh.
It's a
and he
special
was-
thing here in New England that we have rotaries.
Roundabouts.
Roundabouts. Let's see. Who's this? Darpin in New York City. These two things are very likely to happen. Patriots missed the playoffs this year, and Gerard Mayo is still the head coach next year. And both these make us eligible to be on Hard Knocks next year. And I think we would be one of the most, if not the most, compelling teams to be on. So from that premise, here are my questions for the crew. Well, let's start with that premise, though. Is that still the case without Bill, that you would be one of the most intriguing teams to be? I don't see why we would be any more intriguing than any other team.
By next year, if they were bad, it would.
I think
everyone
intriguing
wants to
just
see Bill
because it's
behind
kind of been like mysterious. So it's like, oh,
Right.
now we can finally. So
Right.
That's why.
Like who are the, maybe they will emerge this year, but right now, who are the, intriguing characters on the Patriots? I don't know.
No.
Matthew Judon.
If he's still around.
Who, by the way,
Well, yeah.
story on him that he wants an extension. They made an offer, but they're not close. That's the report. I don't know.
I wonder with him. Yeah.
They could move him. Yeah.
I think they could, and it's almost like one of those Bill moves, like where you're like,
Maybe the Red Sox bring him on before the trade deadline. 'Cause, wow,
probably not as crazy as Seymour, but that kind of move where you're just like, you don't really have a guy in back of him, but it's moving on at a certain time from a guy that you're not going to be able to.
It'd be one of those things where the NFL's a business, and I get it, but like that would suck. Just the past, post Brady era, that's like one of the few bright spots.
Right.
Like there are not many players that can get a whole stadium to do a celebration when he makes a big play.
Right.
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, that
it's
would
just that somebody gets the juices flowing.
be tough.
That's what they love in football. Like, you can't cut him, it's marketing.
So here are his questions for the crew. Do you want Hard Knocks off-season or training camp for the Patriots? I'm loving the Giants off-season show, but I don't think I want that stuff to be out there for my team.
Oh, man.
I kind of agree.
I would be jealous
Yeah.
of that. Like, I'd be like, I want that access.
Now, the
I want it.
Giants approve that.
Yeah.
So, I had somebody in my office say, I can't believe that's out. What the Giants said that was okay. So apparently they were fine with it.
Was it the NFL gun to head? This is okay.
No, that's a way to not have Hard Knocks anymore. Is that teams start complaining about that? No, I think NFL Films has been famously cooperative with the teams. They don't let things go out that the teams don't want to get out there.
It's got to be that trust.
Now I'm sure they urge them a little. Hey, come on, can we just use this? I'm sure there's a lot of that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the team has final say.
Yeah.
I think Hard Knocks. I'm going to be very intrigued by the Hard Knocks division series. I think that would be cool. There's like Pats, Jets.
I just like they're changing it up because it's like you can only see so many times training camp, like, oh, this is going to be a tough cut, or oh, this guy's undrafted and he's really making a push, or like, oh, here's this, this guy's family while he's gone at training camp. What are they up to?
It's just they just have like sob stories to
you've
rely on.
You've kind of seen all that.
Sometimes.
But I don't know. It would be interesting, just especially from the perspective of this show, because if we were seeing all the things that we're seeing with the Giants behind the scenes, like, it would be very interesting to come in here and talk about it, or be like, my God, Elliot Wolf saying exactly what Paul just said, like those kind of things or they're saying exactly opposite of what we were saying. I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I hear Alex's point though of like, well, everyone gets to see this now, and it's not like you'd like to have that kind of special access and know.
We would be like learning what people's offices look like down here from the TV.
Let's see. Darpin also says, while the Patriots staff is getting filmed, what would be your fight club? As in, we don't talk about Fight Club. Mine is Mahomes, Chiefs, and Andy Reid. No one should be ever in any context making any comparisons with them. It only serves to make you look stupid.
Not sure I get what he's.
So things that you just shouldn't say if you're on Hard Knocks. So
anything about another team or
like Drake May's having a good game. Oh, he's looking very Mahomes-ish.
I would just say don't mention anything from the past 20 years.
Yeah.
I know. Especially if it came here next year, that would be because people are ears up for, either trying to carry over things from the past or trying to end things from the past, regardless of what they are. That's everyone's radar's up for that. But at least if you were a year removed, you'd probably have a little less of that.
And who would be the most compelling person overall on offense, on defense? Bonus, if your choice on offense was Drake May, give me your second place choice. So we're still talking about Hard Knocks here. Who's the most compelling?
I think like Kendrick Bourne or Douglas, the receivers with personality who are out in the world, and Marcus Jones. I think. I mean, you've done 100 things on him: golfing,
music. I think the thing is people would want Christian Gonzalez. And then just be like, oh, he's very
quiet.
That's the thing. I think it'd be like, oh, now you get to see what we do.
I think it's a goal of his to come out of his shell this year.
Yeah.
Gotta push him.
I wonder what Gonzalez is going to be like this year.
Shut down corner, I hope.
Besides how he plays, what's his personality?
Silent assassin.
I did a community event with him recently. He was wonderful at the community event. Super talkative with the kids. Opened up about actually a lot. I think he'll be a good character for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Hope so. I mean, Keon White. If Keon White can kind of start to
I almost
break
hope he
out a little
doesn't.
bit.
I almost hope he just
Stay mean
remains
and
just
it's
like
Oh, we got to do stuff with his girlfriend too, right?
Who's that?
Keon.
No, Gonzalez.
Oh, who's
Is,
that?
isn't
Wow.
Oh,
You
no,
might be more in the
I'm-
loop
I'm
than me.
mixing
I don't.
him
I
up
didn't.
with Jonathan Jones.
Oh,
Jonathan
yeah.
Jones's girlfriend is from Brazil.
Brasileira.
So
Yes.
now Brazil is a home market for the Patriots.
There we go.
Just like Germany.
She'd be great. She has a great big TikTok and Instagram following.
Nice. So we gotta get
She's
start
my
doing
girl.
stuff
I'll
with
talk
her.
to
Kyle in Pembroke writes in, if you could add one Belichick era Patriot to this team besides Brady, Gronk, and Moss, who would you add?
I mean, I like take your pick of pass rushers. Willie McGinnis, which should be nice, or left tackles. Pass rushers or left tackles. I don't.
I mean,
probably Matt Light, I guess.
I'm the first person that came to mind for me, believe it or not, was Welker.
Me too.
Yeah, Welker.
Me too. And I was
like
embarrassed
somebody,
to
a
say it.
binky for Drake Maye.
Yeah.
A chain
slot
mover, a guy,
corner, gritty.
really reliable, always makes
Yeah.
the catch. Critical third down plays.
I feel like we at least have guys that are in that genre though, where like you don't have a game changing Randy Moss.
No,
on the
but I can't.
outside.
Other than Randy Moss, I can't think of somebody.
I feel like it has to. For me, it has to be a receiver. I don't know why. For this
Deion
team,
Branch, maybe.
Deion Branch would be big.
Yeah.
Troy Brown.
Yeah.
Deion Branch.
Troy Brown in his
Defense,
prime.
Rodney, Tyler
Yep.
Law.
Yep.
McGinnis, Vrabel,
Brewski.
Roosevelt Colton.
You can bring back Seymour.
Seymour.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, he'd be.
I mean,
any of our Hall of Fame players,
here's a
I would
good
be
question.
happy with.
How different would Seymour look with Gerard Mayo as his head coach than he did with Bill Belichick? Would he, unleash the Kraken a little bit more?
Well, I mean, get into nerd talk. I mean, I think it's a little bit schematically different. Where back then with Seymour, they played so much 3-4 front.
Right.
So now it's kind of more two big-bodied guys, and I almost wonder if Richard Seymour would be more effective in the modern.
Imagine him
defense.
next to Barmore.
Well, him and Barmore, so he can do both things. But instead of always dealing with tackles, he's dealing a little more frequently with guards and centers too. So I think those could be an advantage for Seymour. I mean, I think he could thrive in any scheme and have done anything. He was a Hall of Famer, but yeah, I think I'd be interested to see how they used him in this one. Now, how they do things differently. Not as much base.
He's not. Neither one of them are Belichick era guys. But what about either Ben Coates or Russ Francis?
Ben
Sure.
Coates would be a beast.
I mean, tight ends that can run. I mean, one of the little nuggets that I got from the FTN DVOA thing was like Hunter Henry is like the ultimate catch and fall down guy, which everybody knows I hate, but it was like he was like the league lowest in like yards after catch. So but I mean it's fine. He's an effective red zone weapon.
Just look at all of his touchdowns.
I know
It's a 5-yard boom, and then
but it's like
usually
how
falls
much
down.
is that as the quarterback, and like the offense, and, he's getting it hot, like
Well, it's
guy
all, yeah,
right
I
on
mean,
top of
we
him.
talked about it last week with Jacoby Myers. Like he'd always catch the ball, like
Yeah,
he's always
I
there.
know,
Boom,
I
goes
know.
down.
Philip
But
touched that too. They drive me crazy.
All right. So
you want to give me some nuggets?
Yeah, you've been holding your
Go
notes.
for it.
No, I do. I think
know.
it's good, and I think we might try to get Aaron Schatz, who was the purveyor of DVOA, and again, it is at FTN now, no longer Football Outsiders. So, but these are just some deuce nuggets, nothing crazy, just topics to maybe I'll spit something out and you guys will be interested. But the big one is the projection of wins, and they do have them at a mean projection of 7.1.
Wow,
wins.
That's pretty high.
And
now, what's the reasoning?
So, well, let me get through a little just in terms of overall on the clock, 0 to 5 or 0 to 5th overall pick, 26% chance. Mediocrity 6 to 8 overall in the draft, 46%, and playoff contender 9th to 11th in the draft, 25%. So they're a little bit higher on that. I mean, there's definitely some murky as to where they are, but 6 to 8 sounds like where they.
So if he's
kind of
got the
expect them to win.
Patriots higher than most, he's got to have some teams lower than most.
Yeah, well, I haven't gone through all the other teams yet. I have done the AFCs, but I mean, just for comparison's sake, which I thought was interesting, they have their their projected wins over the last 4 seasons. They estimated, so 2019 estimated 11 wins, Patriots got 12. 2020 estimated 7.7 wins, they got 7. 2021 they estimated 9 wins, they got 10. 2022 8 wins, they got 8. Last year 5 wins, they got 4. So the last 5 years they're
pretty close
in the environment. Now I'd like to just read a brief passage, which I think Alex especially will
the
find
gospel
interesting.
according to Deuce.
No, this is good. This is good, though. This is the second paragraph of the Patriots preview, which I'm going to read because it has a direct impact on some of the people in this room here. Gerard Mayo's appointment as head coach marks a pivotal shift in the Patriots' approach. Unlike the secretive and often stoic nature of Belichick, Mayo brings a fresh perspective and openness to the team. A few weeks before the 2024 draft, Mayo gave a candid interview in which he openly said the team was going to draft a quarterback. This marked the first stark departure from the Belichickian way. Even the Patriots' social media presence has shifted, with the team posting goofy, Good Will Hunting-inspired parodies featuring current and former players, Mayo, and others inside the Patriots building. It's simply a more intimate look inside the franchise. None of this is by coincidence. It is a deliberate effort to usher in the new era. So,
wow,
that's kind of fun. A little shout out to good Jules.
Did he not see the alumni thing the year before?
I know. Well, so it's like
I think Gerard being in it was a big sticking point for people.
For sure.
And Brandon Bye.
Yes.
So just to throw some other, these are kind of rapid fire, but just like adjusted notes. And this is actually, I'm going to save this one to the end because I think that's a bigger conversation. But 7 straight seasons, Patriots defense has been in the top 5 of broken tackles. So very, very good tackling defense. And one of the points that they make in this is we talk about the carryover from Belichick to Covington and Mayo. Does that continue?
In other words,
they don't
miss tackles.
They don't.
They were top 5.
Gotcha.
Last 5 years.
Yeah.
Contrary to what Twitter during a game makes you think.
Yeah. 2023 Patriots face more man-to-man than anyone else. I think that's to your point, Fred. You don't scare anybody. They just man you up. You're not going to beat us one-on-one. Back to the defense. 24th pressure rate on first and second down. They're second on third and fourth down. So early down kind of problems getting after the rusher, but they're pretty good once they get to third down and can scheme things up. But with the loss of Judon last year, they led the league in defensive back sacks and people coming from the secondary. So it just kind of illustrates what they had to do without Judon in the mix. They really had to get creative with how they...
And, again, we lost Steve Belichick and Bill, and I think those two minds were really good at adjusting and, using what you have in different ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially on third down when it's time to get creative. Last year, Patriots only recovered 11 of 32 fumbles. So that's a regression to the mean
A lot of balls on the ground.
stat.
You came up with only 11.
So that's a regression to the mean stat.
Yeah.
I think you talked on Tuesday about something the defense needs to do, force more turnovers last year. That's just an example of they kind of forced more, but they didn't really benefit. Probably should be up. They second fewest opponent penalties in the league to Chicago. So we talk about Patriots getting all the calls. Like they did not.
So the other teams weren't called a lot.
The other teams were getting more penalties. Yeah.
See, Paul, the refs are against us.
Just a couple more to share with you guys. Thought Devon Godchaux's an interesting player, and they do have specific players. One thing that they point out about Devon Godchaux, a lot of tackles, not a lot of stops. Now, a stop is like you stop them short of the line to gain, or it's qualified as a victory. That's a big part of this DVOA stat. Is like if it's 3rd and 2, did you get 3? Not if it's and you get what you need. So just really near the bottom of the league in terms of run stops, and actually making a play on the ball. So I thought that was topical. And then I would say the last point is that they really like my guy Jabril Peppers, top 3 safeties versus the pass and DVOA, yards allowed per pass and success rate.
I like him too.
So I had to throw that one in.
I love him.
He is garnering some elite praise. One last point I make too is last year I think or a couple years ago Evan said it, like fantasy or the advanced analytics didn't love Jacoby Myers. They don't love Demario Douglas either. I don't know if it's that kind of player, but he's another player. So lots of great stuff in this. I highly recommend. Pick it up, FTN. Like I said, we'll try to get shots on the show, interview him. But I was pleasantly surprised by 7.1. I think that's
now what do they do?
Higher number.
Do they do things differently than some of these other analytics? Sites?
I mean, the core of this stat is it's not predictive, it's what happened, and it just tells you how long did they get what they needed to get. And the comparison I kind of hinted at was 1st and 10 you get 2 yards, that is not successful. 3rd and 1 you get 2 yards, that is successful. So it really, that's kind of the heart of their statistics. But it's great. It's one of the ones I use. It's not really, again, predictive. It's not something you say, but it's just a really good number that doesn't, I don't know, I don't get lost in the whole EPA of it all and all those things. I know those are other ones, but they do a really good job.
So they invented DVOA?
Aaron Schatz invented DVOA. They've been doing it forever. It's personally one of my favorite stats to kind of look at and stack up how teams did. But the 32 team previews and really thorough, all the players. So yeah, it's a great read. It's one of my favorite things. I don't know if they did it last year. They had a falling out with Football Outsiders. So but good stuff. A little high on the Patriots.
Cool. The 7 wins is interesting because I'll be thrilled if they get 7 wins, but we
Looking
were
at the
a
schedule,
missed field goal and a couple errant throws away from 7 wins. So
Yeah,
is it
right.
really
There you go.
are we just going to be the same team with just a slightly better quarterback? Pats were really close to 7 or 8 wins.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
But that's the NFL.
True.
That's the NFL, and that's what separates. It's not doing those stupid things.
Yeah.
855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Brian's in Oregon. What's up, Brian?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Good.
Hey, Brian.
You actually just hit on roughly what I want to talk about. I'm stuck between emotions from this team because I've been a longtime fan back to the 80s. I'm scarred from the last couple of years of the way the team has kind of fallen, the coaching, the lack of offensive talent, but I'm excited for this year to see what they do. I'm a little worried about the coaching and the lack of Belichick and some of the changing of the defense. But as far as the wins for the year, I have a would you rather for you guys, and that is, would you rather the Patriots win 7 games this year, but they play the same style of games they did, which was awful offensively, just 10-6, 6-0, just brutal games to watch, or would you rather them win 2 games, but then be more entertaining, losing, 34-31, 30-28, that sort of thing, and see some development in the offense?
Is the 7 wins Drake Maye, is he playing well? He
just said it's 30-28, so obviously he has to
with the 2 wins.
Yeah, with the 2 wins.
The 7 wins.
So you're scoring, he said, more entertaining offensively, he said. But what happened?
Yeah, more entertaining.
But now your defense has dropped off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think with the 7, if you do 7 wins, then you might have missed on Drake Maye too. So I'll take the 2.
Yeah. I think in other words, it's before you called, Brian, Matisse was saying last year the difference between 4 wins and 7 wins was just a couple plays. But it wouldn't have looked any better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. They were still train wrecks to watch.
Right.
I'll take the 2 because I think Drake Maye is
there's
lighting
a lot,
it up.
That's so demoralizing, though.
It's
to
demoralizing,
almost
but-
win every time.
But
What does that do to your
but
locker
then
room?
you have your
can't
guy.
capitalize. Yeah, but you can't execute.
Yeah, but now we go so you lose every game 30-28 or 35-30. Now you go into next year saying we got to rebuild our defense.
I know.
It's
hard for me to see them being a 30-point team per game and they only win 2 games. But I would probably take the 2 just because I'm so sick of watching what he just described.
It's horrible.
The defense and the offense is just inept.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian. I've watched that movie enough.
Your first couple of years, I'm excited to see Matt Judon take the field because I don't need to watch 2 3 and outs.
Man. I know.
If we go 2 and whatever it is, and Drake Maye is throwing 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 pick, I'm fine with that.
I know. It's a problem when you're taking your bathroom break when you're like, okay, I gotta wait till the offense is back on the field.
Or you're watching Red Zone. Oh, the Pats are on.
But I think that's unlikely. To have him play that well and have the defense dropped off as that much. I hope that's unlikely.
Yeah.
I mean, growing pains are all right. I don't expect them to, be a 30-point per game offense, but a couple explosions like that would be nice.
Especially against some of the good teams too. It's a hard schedule.
You want that game where you say, this is the game that Drake Maye became an NFL quarterback.
The coming out game.
It's hard though too because. I mean, I was talking, we talked at the beginning of the season a little bit, mentioned a bunch of the 94 season where they finished strong. And just looking at the schedule with the late bye and then the final 4 games at Arizona, at Buffalo, the lack here, and then Buffalo, it's just a challenge with those 2 Buffalo games to really put up a kind of performance specifically with those last 2 games that you're going to carry some excitement away. Both games were pretty close last year, so, hopefully they would be able to hang in there, but it's not like you had maybe they hammer Arizona and then the lack looks like they wish they were still in California and they hammer them and then maybe that's a positive sign. But I just think specific to those 2 Buffalo matchups, what do you expect? How do they end the season here at home against Buffalo, who maybe Buffalo's sitting starters at that point.
There's potential for a little mid-season run
Yeah.
around London game and after. It's just a little interesting.
That's what we thought
Jacksonville
last year.
Jets
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Tennessee, at Chicago. I mean, it's like, yeah, when people get all like, well, the schedule. I mean, that's as easy as it's going to get in the NFL, I feel like. I mean, and who knows what Aaron Rodgers is doing at that point, but like Will Levis, rookie Chicago guys halfway through their season, like
Rams coming to the East Coast, it could be a little chilly,
No, come on, maybe. I don't know.
Just the defense has to kind of hold the ground. I look at the defense this year as sort of a middle reliever.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold the fort down until we can maybe score some runs.
Yeah.
Which
isn't too much to ask, and that's going back to Andy's thing where it's like I don't think they have to be elite and the top 3 defense and only allow 10 points. Like that's not the expectation. They can still be good enough, and I think going back to the turnovers, I think just getting more turnovers, Jonathan Jones, Gonzalez back, like those guys. They got to get their hands on some balls and take them away, and that I think will really be a spark for the offense that the offense didn't even get last year, really, to be honest.
All right. Chris from Virginia, more importantly, he says, you guys have to try corn on the cob in an air fryer.
Ooh.
400 degrees for
Okay.
12 to 15 minutes.
Does it
Spray the
pop?
corn with spray butter or oil, little bit of Cajun seasoning or Old Bay.
Glad he added that.
I'm
in.
intrigued.
That's needed.
I'm intrigued.
Nothing better than good corn on the cob.
Hell yeah.
We're getting close to it right now.
Getting
aren't we?
close to the season.
I think it started a little early because I had
just saw
a really
crazy
good.
video of a guy who he ate the corn, but he bit into the cob and ate the whole thing. I'll send it to you.
Wait, on purpose he did it?
Yes, it was insane. I'll send it
And
to
he
you.
ate it?
He ate it. It was
Oh.
a reaction, one of those
Does he
stitch
fall
videos.
out?
He was like, this is good, and bit into the cob, ate the whole thing.
Is the Cape known for corn, or is that just
No.
because I always ate corn up there? growing
No,
up
the
in
Cape
summer?
isn't,
No.
but
No.
Jersey is where you get the best
Really?
corn. Jersey corn.
You really?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Jersey
yeah.
corn?
I mean, everyone thinks Iowa and all that,
Yeah.
and they probably get it earlier in the season, but, mid to late August, September, Jersey corn.
There's just such a difference, though, when you get like that early season corn.
You can
that's,
smell
like,
it.
Yeah.
You smell
Yeah.
it like it's just so much more juicy. Good
The
stuff.
big kernels.
Butter.
Oh,
On the grill.
yeah. Love it. Love it.
And then you got somebody who's like, here, let me dip it in mayo real quick. Like, wait, whoa.
Who does that?
Jail.
Like, the Mexican street corn that they do where it's
Oh.
like mayo
Oh,
and
that is good, though.
like some
That
paprika.
is
I
good,
mean, it's a
though.
whole thing. Like, you got to be
All
ready
right,
for a
so
whole
you were
experience.
talking about, I don't know if it was on the air, but tacos earlier.
Yeah.
What makes a taco a street taco?
Oh. Well, usually they're soft tacos and they're, I don't know.
No,
I don't
so-
know.
so you don't know.
Soft taco, messy,
Yeah.
cooked on the
Like,
side of the
that's
street.
It's literally just like meat, like cilantro and onions.
yeah, really simple.
So that's
I don't
that's a
know.
street
I'm
taco?
grasping at
Street
straws here,
tacos
Fred.
are
well,
a
the
small
place I
corn
went to
base.
was like,
What?
Street tacos have a small corn tortilla base, making them easy to grab and go.
yeah,
Well, there
Okay.
you go. I did say that
Less
was the first thing,
messy.
is the
Less
small-
messy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I like my tacos crunchy. I like the
Highly
short-
well, that's this
highly
place I
portable
was
and
telling you
cheap.
about. You should check that out. It's
Yeah.
open
In
to-
Dennis?
It's
Yeah.
in Dennis.
Where?
La Tacodia. It's a food. It's a little food truck.
Yeah.
Muy bien.
No, but it's good. They have like the birria style, so it's like, what's?
Barilla.
Is it a
Barrilla's the
Barilla?
best. That's the best. Barilla.
I don't know what
Barilla.
to say. It's like a.
It's like a spicy
There's a
sauce.
word in Portuguese called moyu, and it's like the marinade that the meat is cooked in.
Molle.
Yeah, so you can dip the hard taco into
then-
that,
well, then
and
they
then they
soften taco
fry
and
it.
they fry it in
They
the
fry
sauce.
it in the
I'll
sauce
just
too
go to
with
Taco
cheese.
Bell.
No,
It's easier.
How
Fred,
dare
you haven't lived.
Oh man,
You don't
It's
like
so
Taco
close
Bell?
to you too.
Taco
I
Bell's
love
gas,
Taco
but,
Bell.
I
I
mean-
love Taco Bell.
When I lived in LA, I still remember the first time I was like, I think I'll try this taco place, and I had only ever been to Taco Bell here, like Taco Bell and El Torito. Those are the only two Mexican food I'd eat in my life, and I like, whoa, baby, it was. So
You and Lane would love this place
good.
next time you're in
It's in
Dennis,
Dennis,
because
of
they're
course.
from
Yeah.
they're from Tijuana and
Yeah.
then grew up in San Diego, and now for
San
whatever
Diego's-
reason they
that's
live.
Are they
Taco spot.
in that Patriot Plaza?
Oh.
Where are they? in
No,
Dennis?
it's like a random.
Like near
you know,
DPM
across
maybe?
the Cuffy, the big Cuffy's.
In down on 28.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
think it's on 28.
Oh,
It's a
so-
big Cuffy's Emporium.
Yeah.
So
right
it-
across the street. It's a little.
We were just
truck.
there.
West Dennis.
Yeah.
Yes,
kind of
West
like
Dennis,
Dennis
thank
Dennis
you.
Point, West
Yeah.
Dennis.
Yeah.
We were just at that new Cuffy's. That thing's crazy.
Well, it was a rainy day when I
Yeah,
went, and
yeah,
the
it was
Cuffy's
packed.
was swamped, and people were coming. So then I got there
They
at the
redid it.
perfect time because I ordered my tacos, and the guy was like, "You just cleaned me out." They had to close like 2 hours early.
My sister was like, "It's like Disneyland," and I
thought
went
you
there,
got
and I'm like, and I'm like, "That's
No,
just a
it's
bunch of
sweatshirts.
T-shirts and
It's just
sweatshirts.
t-shirts.
Yeah.
I thought you said you got a taco.
I
from
will say,
Cuffy's.
Cuffy's quality
Yeah.
unparalleled.
Good. Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
have a
Okay.
sweatshirt from the Provincetown Cuffy's that I've had for 15 years that I still wear.
Okay.
I just had to throw some Cuffy sweatpants out. They lasted forever. The frayed ends and everything. They held up strong. So
It's good stuff.
shout out Cuffys.
All right.
Send us some merch.
Yeah.
Cape Cod.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of Fresno, finally binged The Last Dance this week.
Yep.
What an incredible series. Just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Retro.
Were you in a coma for 3 years?
Broadly comparing the Bulls dynasty to the Patriots dynasty run with this, whatever ways you want to, which for Mike presumably means quietly pouting that hockey isn't involved. Okay.
Basketball.
But like,
I watched
how do you
it. I
compare
watched
the Bulls run to the Patriots run?
Well, I don't know.
They both had a once-in-a-generational player.
I mean,
to
they both had
lead the helm.
Yep, they had the great coach.
Great sidekicks
I'm
along
going
the
to
way.
throw this out there. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like the Patriots had more. It was longer, and there were more kind of not. I don't want to say ebbs and flows because it was mostly flows, but there were different teams. Like it was, it would be like if Michael Jordan did it with Pippen and all those guys, and then he did it with a whole new team. Like
Derrick Rose.
Yeah, like his team wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was all kind of the same core, right?
Yeah.
That held their dynasty. And I just think
And
the Patriots was
basketball's so
longer.
easy. If you have two of those crazy stars,
Yeah.
you can change your whole dynamic of your team. Where in football, time and time again, we see these teams get this player and you hype it up, and then it's too hard of a
So
sport.
bottom line, Patriots run better.
Longer, better.
Harder sport too.
Yeah,
sport.
that's the thing.
I think so.
Patriots playing
It's
like
more of a
two
team
extra
sport.
seasons and just playoff
More
games.
of a team sport and way more intangibles and
52
injury risk
52
too.
guys and so many adjustments that have to happen and
Just like Brady played through like 3 generations of the NFL. You see that hit of him against the Bills back in 2000.
guy
Yeah.
just launching into himself.
And now you get touched and it's a flag.
How
and a
many years
fine.
was the Bills dynasty? Is there like a number that people have? Like I don't know when their first and last titles were, but I just
I don't
wonder
know.
what it is.
90.
They won 6 though, right? How many did they win?
Oh, I thought you were trolling the Bills. I thought you said the Bills real quick.
I think
They
you're
won
right,
6. They had 6 titles.
The Bulls.
The Bulls.
Bulls.
With Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how long their run was.
No. Only there's
89 to
Maybe if there's a way that we could look that up.
But still, it was like the 90s, right? Like it was just the 90s.
It's the 90s.
Just the 90s.
90s. Wasn't even this
The
century.
aughts.
Yeah.
The last century.
But I don't think Phil Jackson is as good a coach in basketball as Bill was in football.
Well, it's
What do you think
interesting
about
though.
that?
Because don't you feel like Phil's
91 to 98.
system?
It's only 7 years.
Yeah.
Phil's system translated
years,
to the Lakers, and he had success there too. I mean,
Yeah.
Six
I don't know. I feel like we need
Triangle.
Paul here to be like, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know.
You know enough nuggets though to just
I know
throw
enough
it
to get
in.
myself in trouble, But than the layperson or the average fan.
So they won 6 titles in 7 years.
2 three-peats.
2 3-peats. Wow.
Unless Google.
That's pretty
It's
incredible.
impressive.
Yeah.
Over 9 years, it's just. I mean, but to Alex's
But it's the
point,
greatest
like
player
we
in the
put
history
together the
of the
greatest
game.
player with like a
And
great
there's only
Celtics in
5
the
men on the
60s.
court.
Bill Russell, right?
Yeah, right. They're playing against Sonny's Car Wash.
That wasn't a
Don't
team.
bring up the old school basketball
Was
talk
it a real
again.
team?
George Mikan. So,
Back in the day,
yeah.
Coos,
Back when basketball was basketball.
right?
All right, so
No 3-pointers.
we've got another half hour or so. Here's another debate that I heard that I don't know. I'm not exactly sure which side I take right now, but maybe somebody can talk me in or out of it. So the Lakers started counting the titles that they had in
Oh,
Minneapolis.
don't get me started.
Oh
I
yeah.
just found out.
You know,
Yeah.
and
I had
and
no
like,
idea.
so they get
They have 17 banners.
so that puts them up to 17. Without that, they're like at
The
what?
Lakers,
Yeah.
but not the city of Los Angeles.
Right.
Right.
I hate when people
Right.
say the LA Lakers have 17. No, they do
no.
not.
But that's what they're saying. You know.
There's no lakes. in
People
LA.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the lake in LA?
So when you move your
Lake
team,
Hollywood.
even if you're allowed to bring the stats from the old team, are you allowed to bring your titles with you? Does that count?
Like, so the Rams, are they can the Rams in LA now count the greatest show on turf?
Right. Can the Dodgers in LA count Brooklyn? I don't think they won any in Brooklyn, but had they?
Well, do like the Packers count their NFL championships?
Well, they
before
were
the Super
they
Bowl?
were always in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
always
think
the same.
that counts.
But you
Same
still only
city,
talk
same
about
team.
Pittsburgh, right? I don't know what the official number is with Green Bay. That's a good question.
They won
don't
5
know.
in Minneapolis.
5 in Minneapolis. So they'd only
What
have
years?
12.
What years were those? Like
Um,
how crazy were we getting? Like the
Were they
30s?
golden purples back then too?
unless it's 1949, 1950, 1952, 53, 54.
Yeah. So should those count towards their legacy?
And those were NBA championships, or
Yeah.
was that an old league? Okay, that was still in the NBA. So while the Celtics were kind of with them there.
Yeah. But the Celtics didn't start winning until Russell came in. That was like 1960 or 59 or something.
Okay, it was a little bit later.
Yeah.
I kind of think they should count. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but like, I don't know. It's the franchise.
You think that? Yeah. I don't know.
Like, can it only be when you were where you are? And
Now, when Cleveland moved to Baltimore, part of the deal was that they couldn't take any of the Browns' records. So
and then the Browns got all their records back.
The Browns got
Even
their
though
records
technically
back.
these Browns have never won anything.
But when the Colts moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis, they could. They did take their records with them. Did you know that?
That's weird.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yeah, because Modell in Cleveland, he just did it like overnight. Like the
Can you imagine
moving
that
trucks
happened
just
now?
showed up, and he did it under the cloak of darkness. But the Colts was, everybody knew it was happening. It was the league sanctioned and all that stuff,
Yeah.
So they allowed them to take all their records.
I think the Lakers thing is interesting because they're saying they have the most, and that's where it gets interesting. Because
did they just decide to do this like in the last couple of weeks? Like all of a sudden they're just like, surprise!
Well, no, it was
Minnesota Lakers.
It was a narrative when the Lakers won in the bubble too, because then they tied the Celtics.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that was their 17th, and then they both had 17. I think the franchise can take them, sure, whatever, but it's when people from Los Angeles claim them as their own. When it's like, you weren't
Also,
a fan
why-
of this
why
team
you-
when
why
they were
are
in
you claiming-
Minnesota,
why are
and
you
you weren't
claiming
alive,
titles
but
from
like no one in your
1949?
ancestry cheered for this team.
So that's a check. Like, did your grandfather root for
Right.
the
Did
team?
your
Okay.
great-great-grandfather
Like, my grandfather
see
lived in
the title?
Minnesota.
If there's anyone from Minnesota, originally from Minnesota, that
You're
is
okay.
now in Los Angeles,
Moved with the
that
team.
has generations of lineage of Lakers fandom, let me know. I'll take back my words. But
It is interesting with it. Like, I mean, there's a significant amount of teams that have moved, but very
like
few
Los
that have won
Angeles
titles
can't
and
claim
then moved.
those. The Lakers can.
I mean, the whole thing's just ridiculous. They're still the Lakers anyway, though, right? Like you're like, come on, this whole thing's
Just
a
change
joke.
the name.
Like,
give the Texans the Oilers.
like Minnesota gets all the they have all the titles. Like Minnesota can hang the banners. The Lakers are the Lakers.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Spee, along the same lines, I'm going to get you all in trouble with Paul when he returns. Your evaluation of the Bulls dynasty was pathetic.
Okay, that's
and the
fair.
great white snark will set you straight.
I look forward to that for sure.
So, was it pathetic in that we were overrating it or underrating it?
I don't know.
Great dynasty.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
we
gonna
said it was
say-
pretty
I was
amazing.
born in '94. I don't.
Yeah.
2 3-peats?
93. I'm just
I don't know.
more of a
What
Pats
will, I
fan.
mean, it's like they show like WWPD, like what would Paul do, or what would Paul say?
Yeah.
Is he going to be higher on the Lakers dynasty than we were, or lower on the Lakers? Because I think he's lower on Phil Jackson. I think he's dismissive of the Kobe. I don't know. I could be wrong though. It's hard.
But
it's hard to get in
But
that
he
head of
loves
his.
superstars.
He does love superstars.
2 3-peats is crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jordan is Jordan, right?
I think Paul's going to say it was better. It was great. Not better than the Patriots, but just better than what we were kind
Is
of.
Jordan the greatest GOAT in pro sports?
Well, him and Tom
No,
have
Tom
the
did.
same amount of championships.
Tom is a greater GOAT than Jordan was?
Yeah, longer, harder sport.
Messy.
No, that's fair.
Messy.
Messy?
Messy's.
Can you give me
Well,
his resume?
globally.
No, I don't have enough.
What is he-
I don't have enough data for that.
So
but
Messi better than Pele?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Pele's playing
Because you
against.
watched a lot of Pele.
I watched the Pele
Yeah.
doc.
Yeah.
He's playing against farmers.
Okay.
I did with Messi. I had a Malik Nabers situation though too. When I first became aware of him, and I was like, "Holy crap, this guy is
Like
just different."
What Messi and Ronaldo, they were scoring so many goals that now when a person scores 15 goals, which is a lot of goals, we're like, it's not 50 goals in a season. What are we doing? Yeah, like
Is that really what he got?
averaging like 50.
I just couldn't believe it how effortlessly he moves with the ball. Like he runs full speed.
It's like a
and the ball
magnet on
just
his foot.
sticks
It's
to his feet.
unbelievable to watch.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
Messi, you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
he
'cause
is amazing.
I was
And
just
he
talking
goes from
about this-
0 to hot. Like, boom. Yeah.
I was just talking about this over the 4th of July week with like my family, that we live in such an American bubble, but then you realize like if you compare Messi and Ronaldo's, like just their Instagram following, for
in
instance,
2012,
compared
he
to
scored
Tom
91
Brady's,
goals.
it's like I think Messi and Ronaldo have something of like 600 million followers, and I don't know if Brady
Oh,
has
yeah.
like 50.
It's definitely more of a worldwide sport. But here's the thing, and I'm probably going to get all.
You got to use your feet and your,
all the
your
soccer,
hands in
all the
football.
soccer fans are going to get mad at me. But when we look at all these other countries like Portugal and Spain and France and Germany, pretty much the best athletes in those countries are playing soccer, right? Like, if you can play soccer, you play soccer in those countries.
Yeah.
And in this country,
Oh, we're doing this debate.
it's not even close. The best athletes in our country are not playing soccer. They're not, because the money's not, for whatever reason, they're not playing soccer. So what would happen if
Like LeBron
they
James
did?
played soccer.
Right. What would
Tyreek
happen
Hill.
if they did? The best athletes in our country grew up that soccer was their main
Right.
sport.
Like I would just want to take like NFL wide receivers and we have soccer tryouts. Like from that position
OBJ
group
at
alone,
right wing.
like
Guys,
I gotta
guys
imagine
heading,
Well, you can say
6'7"
Messi's
guys.
not like the greatest
That's the thing.
athlete.
They're
Like,
not
he had to
crazy
take- he
athletes.
had to
They're
take
just
growth hormones
kids
when
that
he was
grew
younger.
up and they popped out of the womb on a farm in South America, and there was
Yeah.
already the
But
second
he's
they
a
learned how to
unicorn.
walk, they were dribbling.
He's a unicorn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
but now there's a kid that's 16 scoring goals for Spain, and it's like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm a newbie getting introduced to these things. I mean, we saw the facility in Germany, but like the development and the
that's
science
the
that
thing.
goes
We don't
into
have
this,
the
it's like-
infrastructure in the U.S. Youth soccer is like so politicized
You have to
here
pay
with
to
the
play
club
and
teams.
everything.
You have to be a rich
Yep.
kid to
Yep.
really be at these camps and on these special teams, and it's not in South America. It's just a dirt field and a rock ball. Like that's
a
what
great
they're
question
playing
I have,
with.
Alex, is just like, what is the commitment from parents, financially, time-wise? Because like as a guy, I have kids who are like at that age of travel sports, and it's
Yeah.
kind of a big conversation, and it's a humongous expense and time commitment. But in those programs, do they just kind of? I mean, are those still problems for the parents, or are these more?
Well, it's kind of different
like,
too
kinda
because
supplemented by the
their
government or
kids aren't
whatever,
like playing
the
varsity
program.
sports, and they're not going to like prep schools. If you're good enough, you're in an academy at 13, 12
Yeah,
years old,
isn't it more
sometimes
like
younger.
state-run
Yeah,
where
like you're
they
sent
identify
away.
you and you
You're
get
sent
plucked.
away,
Right,
like,
right.
and you're in these organizations and you're
become a
developed
Jedi.
that way. Like that just doesn't really happen here. And also, if you
That's-
watch,
yeah.
like Matisse can probably speak to this, watching like North American soccer, I'll exclude Mexico, but like Canadian soccer and American soccer, it's like almost a different product. It's like kick and run, brute force, whereas you go to South America or Europe and it's like skilled. It's like art to watch. It's
Yeah.
like the way
It's
they
different.
pass around.
It's
and-
more natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
So it would take generations, I think.
The big difference is in the cities here, you got a basketball court.
Yeah.
The cities in Europe, there's like little soccer fields. And
Dirt soccer
you
fields
you
and
need
street soccer.
Shoes and the ball, and that's what you need here for basketball. And
Those kids are playing soccer on concrete, and
Exactly.
that the quickness of the ball moving across concrete, there's no friction. The skill they get from just that alone.
yeah.
It's just the financial barrier is something that's so interesting
sad
to
to
me
see.
as parents. Because I mean, especially like youth hockey,
Yeah.
it's thousands and thousands of
And
dollars.
look at varsity hockey and across high schools. It's
Yeah.
sad to see. Football programs, soccer programs, the varsity, they're just being totally stripped
Yeah.
from these AAU and these club teams. It's sad. I hate it.
And so many of these AAU and club teams are just like money grabs, and they
Oh
just
yeah,
pop
your
up
kid's
place
gonna make
after
the
place
D
after
team,
place.
but they
Yeah.
get the merch,
Right,
and they get to
right.
wear like the outfit and say they're on the junior whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like
The
junior-
it's just
junior
a
select
money grab.
elite.
I know it well.
If your kid is good enough in varsity soccer, they're gonna get found. If they're good enough at the varsity, I don't know. It's just.
Well, that's what I
Everyone
wonder. Like
thinks
with
their
my own
kid's gonna
kid,
be
he's-
the
he's,
next-
yeah, like really good at baseball right now. He's 12 years old, and it's like, okay, you're out of little league now. So how do you do you join one of these club teams where it's kids are on pitch counts and competitive, and it's hard to navigate.
We just need rec sports back.
But it's like you
know?
wonder what the effect would be on American sports because,
Yeah.
like to Matisse's point, not as much of a barrier on basketball. Like you need a ball and a hoop, and most towns have them.
Yep.
Hockey, huge barriers.
Yep.
I mean,
Skates,
like
500.
travel. I mean, everything.
How much is a stick?
Oh, no. Well, that's
How much
don't
is
even
one
get me
hockey
started.
stick? Exactly.
Oh, it's like $200 now.
Yeah,
It used to
it's
be $25
wild. It's
when I grew
insane.
up, and you get 2 sticks, and mostly he'd make through the year if it was a Christian Brothers. They don't indestructible, but it's just how do you remove those barriers for young athletes?
Yeah,
to
and
make
soccer
these
shouldn't
sports
have
better?
that barrier. Like
Yeah.
every kid, one of the first sports they
Yeah.
play is soccer, but then it gets to like you wonder why the kids are walking away from it. It's not as fun because it's just the parents and the clubs. It's just too political.
Alex and Raleigh, I recently went to the Women's Soccer League game down here, the North Carolina Courage, and recently chatted with Torrey Holt. He is part owner of the team. And I asked him how much he and the greatest show on turf expected to win that game. He said, we beat them earlier in the season, so we were flying high and didn't expect to lose. He was a great person to talk to and really goes to show how dominant the run was. Yeah, but they won, but they didn't really. That was the game that the Patriots showed they could compete. Right. Anyway, also soccer take. Athletes don't make soccer. Having the soccer IQ, the dedication to understanding the game are such an undervalued skill in the American system. The U.S. system wants athletes first, then soccer players. This can be a whole show debate, and I love it.
Yep, that's exactly the point we kind of just made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just the kick and run soccer, run, be big,
Put
jump high.
LeBron James as striker, he'll be great, but he might not have the technique. So.
Right.
Well, for hockey,
he can't. His first touch isn't like Messi's or like whoever. Name any player from Europe.
Even some Revs players here.
I know.
Yeah,
I did. Well, USA Hockey's done a good job. I think they've tried to emulate these, and they have the National Development Program, and they have, you talk about teaching the game, and all the different computer programs now. I mean, the virtual reality stuff here. Like, there's so much more going into all sports of understanding the game that never existed when I was a kid. We never did it was just kind of here's our breakout, here's our forecheck. This what
Yeah, you have a couple drills in practice.
Yeah, but there wasn't that kind of detailed analytical insight.
One of the things in America, United States, we have a bigger pool of people, obviously. It's a bigger country. But in these other countries, it seems like there's only a few sports that everyone pays attention to.
Baseball for
like
certain
in Germany,
sections
for
of
example.
the
It's soccer,
Japan loves
it's skiing, maybe.
Yeah.
Handball.
Cricket randomly is a big one.
No, handball.
Yeah.
I know.
Underwater handball is a thing, too.
So, it doesn't spread out the talent pool as much.
Yeah. Whereas here you've got kids playing baseball, flag football, hockey.
And then I'll get into my Olympics rant, which, I think the Olympics is ridiculous now. The sports that they allow in breakdancing.
Spike ball's going to come soon,
breakdancing is in the Olympics. I mean, what are we doing? Skateboarding is in the Olympics. Come on.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, skateboarding is cool.
It's a little bit cool.
It's not cool.
It's cool to watch.
It's not, what's cool about
It's not the X Games.
Yeah.
What are we
They're on a half pipe doing flips and stuff with a little board this big. That's rad.
I know what skateboarding is, but why is it an Olympic
I played
sport?
a lot of Tony Hawk, though. So
I mean, when you really think about it, though, how much different is it from gymnastics, really, like in terms of contorting your body and trying to execute?
Well, they train
aerial,
they pretty much train that way.
The only thing I'd say about gymnastics is that it goes back to the Greeks.
Yeah.
They were doing some form of gymnastics back then. It was, tests of strength.
So you just go back to Fred. You go back to the original.
Was it done in Athens?
Nude wrestling.
No.
Wrestling.
Carry a rock.
Gladiator fights.
Yeah. Throw a rock. No more shot puts. It's a rock.
Maybe get
like
some
Game of
lines
Thrones out here real
involved,
quick.
Yeah. No, I just,
javelin.
But even
spear.
now the gymnastics. I mean, I don't want to make fun. These kids are freaks.
They are.
I mean,
they showed the women's team. And they're all just like they just squish people into 4 foot and 10 bodies.
And you got to imagine that the training that they do for gymnastics stunts their growth.
Oh, it does.
Don't they all retire
absolutely
at age
does.
21? Like, is it a big deal if Simone Biles is coming back because she's like so old?
They
but she's,
also,
like 26.
well, women, especially female gymnastics, gymnasts have a lot of issues with like their hormone imbalances as they get older and stunts. It
What are we
stunts a
doing?
lot of
It's
stuff,
freaky.
yeah.
What are we doing?
It really does.
And then
It's not
staying in
good.
gymnastics, the floor exercise in the beam. Okay, I think the beam is one of the toughest things in gymnastics.
Oh my God!
But what's with all the hand movement?
What about the rhythm?
I know the floor stuff. You're right. It's too like I'm not watching a dance recital. I want to see back
The
handsprings.
men don't use music. They just go out there and they show how strong and agile they are. The women with all this and she picked Beyonce. She's really a crowd favorite. I don't care. Just do your tumble. What are we doing? It's so stupid.
Wait, how about figure skating though? You feel similar along those
A little
lines with
bit.
figure
A little
skating?
bit.
So
It's the same kind of
A little
thing.
bit. But at least figure skating is what it's supposed to be, dancing on ice. And
So do you have a problem with the sports that include like style points? Like it
Yeah,
seems like a lot of
a
the ones
little
where
bit.
you have people judging the style rather than just you ran fastest, you threw it farthest.
What else do you hate?
Yeah.
What other Olympic sports?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
The speed walking.
Yeah, that's a dumb one.
Yeah, that one's.
I know it's been around forever, but the one where you ski and you shoot.
Oh yeah, I don't like that one.
What about the one where you have to like jump over a thing and go through water? I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, they have
the
like
hurdles.
Yeah, like
The
what is
steeple-
that?
steeplechase.
The steeplechase.
Oh.
So, like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, like, how do you
and then
get
we'll put
into
a
that
puddle
kind
in the
of
middle
stuff?
of it.
How do you
I like it when
get
the guy
into
does
that?
a face plant right in the water, and then everyone's like trampling
It's
him.
like jump over
Yeah.
a puddle like in the
Yeah.
Olympics. Like what are we doing?
But I do say one of the ones I have the most respect for are those track and field people.
That's the sprinting is the best one.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But even like the 400.
Yeah, long distance too,
those
the
people are
milers.
insane. They're insane, the shape that they're in.
I just wonder, like, what is the peak of human performance, and when will we hit it? Because no one's ever going to run. Let's just say no one's going to run the 400 in 1 second. So there has to be.
We got to give these people steroids.
Like, there's got to be a line
Juice
of
them
like
up.
it'll never
Juice
get
them up.
beyond.
You think there
this,
is, but
it keeps whittling down slowly. But there's got to
especially
be a
in
line.
swimming.
Well, it's like we also
everyone's always breaking records in
we
swimming.
witnessed Phelps and Usain Bolt. Like, how much better?
I know,
can it get than
Ledecky?
that?
That's true. Yeah, and Katie
Ledecky.
Ledecky.
And I think it's interesting that swimming has gone the other like gymnastics. They hardly wear any clothes anymore. The girls, right?
Oh yeah,
it's
now
ridiculous.
it's like
Yeah.
a human torpedo.
But now
I have an issue with
in
the college gymnastics
But in swimming,
uniforms.
Oh, really?
Now it's
they
full
went
I
from the
have a
little
huge
speedo
issue
where
with
you're
them.
smuggling grapes, and now they have like the full shorts and everything. So they've gone the opposite way.
Right.
And,
No more bulges.
Guys
No
were
more
like
bulges.
shaving their bodies, and now they wear.
Yes,
a cap,
they were. That was such a thing.
Right. So it's gone the other way.
Sleek like a fish.
Yeah.
The dolphin.
Yeah.
How much could that have helped?
I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Smuggling grapes.
Smuggling grapes.
You never heard that before?
No, I didn't.
I think that's a Joan Rivers joke. I'll give her credit.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
What a woman.
No, watch the What a Woman. We're at Paris, right? In Paris? Is that where they're?
Huh?
They're in Paris,
Yeah,
yeah. Me and Matisse were just talking about this on the way down to the
Yeah.
radio. So remember when we wanted it in Boston?
They wanted it in Boston. It takes me an hour and a
Oh
half
my
to get
God.
home from
You're
here.
like, I'm working
Imagine
for home
with the
this season.
construction going on right now in that city.
The
us having
red
the
line's going
Olympics.
5 miles an hour.
Coming off of a
The
Celtics
parade,
championship.
right? We're like, we can't do the Celtics parade. We've got Olympic events going on.
Oh, that would have been
What a mess that
brutal.
would've
So
been.
you're just finding out that the Olympics are in
I was
Paris?
just confirming that in my head. I thought.
So
that
you
was
haven't
what it
watched
was.
NBC in 4 years?
No, I
Is that
watched
what-
a little
yeah.
bit. Well, I've been watching the Wimbledon. so,
Okay.
no.
All right.
The Wimbledon.
The Wimbledon. Kevin writes in, I absolutely adore the youth sports chat. I worked for years with my dad here in South Carolina as a sports official, a proud vet of IAABO Board 54.
Wow.
Whatever that means. Your appreciation of access in spite of Fred's fancy shirts and Cape Cod restaurant stories warms my heart as a kid who adored but couldn't afford to play hockey.
Yeah.
I recall being envious of the kids in Brockton because they had a boys and girls club. Excuse me, just had an Italian. Boy, was he good. I had gloves and a snowy driveway basketball court. It's no wonder I found the joy of tackle football on snow.
Yeah.
Love the show. If 1994 repeats, life will be Bledsoe level good for a decade. So there you go.
It's just crazy. I mean, my own reffing experiences with youth hockey, and it's just, these showcases, and you're like, oh, it's a showcase.
Oh,
What
yeah.
are they? And you'd go, and these kids are paying $2,500 a pop to play like 6 games in like
And there's
4
3
days.
kids that are like, that's all people
Right.
came to see.
And
Right.
it's also
Yeah.
the social media part too. Like when I was in high school, it was really just like Facebook, and like we'd be happy to have a parent taking pictures of games. Now everybody's got their phone.
hype
They're trying to
films
get the
and-
next viral moment.
Right.
Like it's just, it's crazy now.
You want to see something competitive, though. Go to one of these team cheerleading competitions.
Oh, sure.
Oh my God.
Oh,
yes.
my God. That is cutthroat. Cutthroat.
Bring it on.
It's
Let's-
vicious.
Oh.
Bring it on.
The
Let's-
girls
let's
are
have a good movie.
vicious.
Yeah. They are. And, like, they're out there, like, with bandaged knees and,
Right.
oh, my God.
And the
It's-
guys
yeah.
that are involved in this, they throw them, and they
Yeah.
are doing.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not making them do the come with
No.
me. I'm just doing the
No.
claps and the sexy
No, no.
Cheerleading, competitive cheerleading is so sick.
Right.
Those girls do not get enough credit. It's also like one of the most dangerous sports for concussions that no one
Yeah.
talks about.
Oh,
I've seen some of those girls hit the floor, like they throw them up and then boom, and I believe.
Yeah,
it.
one of my best friends she was on like the Celtics green teamer, so they're the ones that get thrown up in the basket tosses, like on the parquet. And every time I would cover a Celtics game, it's like my friend getting thrown up, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know where your head goes. Just like, God forbid they fall and just
Yeah.
They wear those Guardian caps.
God bless
Guardian caps for the green team.
It's not cute. It's not cute.
No, not
No,
cute.
they need the ponytail with the bun and the
Right,
bows.
coming out of the thing.
Yeah, the curls.
Andrew in L.A. says, Alex, in Spanish, what you refer to as the sauce you dip barilla in is called consommé.
Thank you.
A sound at the end.
Thank you.
You repeat that? Barriga?
Barilla.
Barilla.
Is that wrong? Is that not how you say it? Double R?
Barilla.
You got to roll that.
Yeah. Football email.
Okay.
Jack in Inaba. How about trading Judon for starting left tackle, then playing Caden Wallace at right tackle where he belongs, and moving Mike Onwenu back to right guard where he belongs? By making that one trade, the Patriots would strengthen 3 positions on the offensive line.
Dude's been playing a lot of Madden.
It's just it's hard to do player for player trades like that. I mean, what team's got an extra left tackle that they do? Oh, we can flip him for a pass rusher. I think if Judon goes, it's probably for a pick. It's probably for. I mean, I would.
And then maybe
second or a third, maybe like
if you don't pay me, you can maybe get some more at the trade deadline. Like if there's a team that's like all out, like we're a player away. Like all right, well.
And he's such a guy that you could see a team being like, we're I mean, not that the Patriots are close to the pass rush to the playoffs last year, but you could see them if they were being like, this is the piece that we're missing.
Well, like what if it's like the Ravens are a guy away and he goes back to the Ravens like at the trade deadline? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I could see it. I'm kind of curious how it's all going to play out. I mean, I think next or 2 weeks when we go to camp, it's like, is Godshaw here? Is Judon here? And of course they could be there, and then they just could be kind of hanging out, and then we'll start getting the vibes of like, it's a hold-in.
Yeah.
Well, it is interesting too because it's not like they haven't been hesitant to extend a ton of guys, especially on the defense. So it's just.
Right, but it's it's the young guys, and that's like the message has got to be staring those two in the face that like they're going out of their way to guys off their first contract and in their second. That's where they're focused.
Hotter temps have you hoping to overhaul your sleep routine, cool off, and rest up with the latest styles from Bob's Discount Furniture with feature-packed stylish bedroom sets just made for turning that alarm for just $799 each, and plenty of extra savings when you bundle Bob's best-selling mattresses with an adjustable base. Bob's is your go-to spot for total bedroom makeover. So stop by Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots, and while you're mattress shopping, you might as well get some tires.
Oh.
Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots and proud partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. And when you're done with all that, it's easy to drink, it's easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. All right, that's this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We'll be back Tuesday with even more of the new studio, so you're not going to want to miss that. We'll see you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.